In California, 2 Magalia Depot. This location used to be a train depot but has been a restaurant since 1977. In the past, owners have seen apparitions and heard voices through vents and banging on the walls. A former employee reports things fell off of shelves without explanation. Their hair was pulled and their shoulder grabbed by an unseen force. They saw a floating head atop a zer in the lower level bakery. One of the other coworkers entered the restroom and the faucet turned on by itself and the toilet flushed while searching for the light switch on her first day working. The lights mysteriously turned on by themselves. While setting tables, all the dinner forks had been turned on their sides. One night, a woman working stepped inside the cooler, and when she walked back out, all the chairs had been pulled out from under the tables. According to past stories from previous owners, there are 3 ghosts: a small child, a woman in a housecoat, and a conductor. The woman is the only one to ever have been seen and seems to be the one most often heard, sensed by anyone. Malibu Moonshadows restaurant. In the women's restroom, the water faucets have been known to turn on by themselves. Malibu Lake, Agara Hills, Malibu Lavend, Lady of the Lake, believed to be haunted by Margaret Hirsch Robertson. Margaret, in 1907-1993, every morning, as was known by many lake residents, Margaret would swim on the island. She did this early every morning. She has been sighted numerous times. After her passing, swimming seemingly alongside a startled couple in a canoe. Her figure was just below the surface of the water in a bathing cap. Manteca Cinema 10, the last theater in the hallway on the left of the cinema, is haunted by 2 ghosts, a young boy and an elderly man. A fire broke out supposedly when the place was a drugstore in the late 1950s, killing at least 3 people. Late-night workers hear voices and tapping on the upper level of the theater. Manteca El Rey Theater Brewery. The old El Rey Theater in Manteca burned down some decades ago. The Towering Inferno opened. Owners renovated it and turned it into the Kelly Brothers Brewing Co. It is said that there are still hot spots from the fire, and ghosts of dead firefighters and movie patrons are said to wander the restaurant looking for a way out. Manteca Home Depot. An apparition of a girl has been seen twice by employees working graveyard shift. Some nights after closing, music and laughter has been heard. When workers go to check it out, the music and voices stop. December update A. The details of the story behind the murder have been removed out of respect for the family. Manteca Psycho Home. There was a home that everyone called it the Psycho Home because the old lady who lived there was psycho. She had 13 dogs and 13 cats. If one cat dies, then all the cats dies. Then after she killed them all, she made a home for them. She kept all the bodies. If someone came on her grass, she would go get a dead cat to scare you. Now if you walk in the home, you hear the dead dogs and cats. Manteca is Sequoia Elementary. There have been many reports of children playing in the hallways. At night, janitors hear the intercom turn on and hear children talking on it, but when they go to room, nothing is there. There has also been a report of swings swinging on there, swinging by the Gymnasium Marin, Cape Bothan. The camp used to be an old tuberculosis hospital and an Indian residence before it was made into a Girl Scout camp. It is said that at night you can hear and see the ghost of a nurse pushing her cart down the hallways and patients who died there moaning and groaning. It has also been said that Indian spirits have made appearances. Marina Del Rey, Bicep Software. The ghost of a man is seen walking around the 3rd floor, stairs and roof. Rumor has it that the man was murdered several years ago by a jealous lover. Menlo Park, Ravenswood. Stand-in is a woman in a trench coat, standing under an old-fashioned street lamp. That can be seen at night waiting for a ride. But if you look back, she disappears along with the street lamp. Menlo Park, Coleman Mansion, currently Peninsula Private School. It is haunted by the ghost of the original owner's wife who was accidentally shot by her husband. Students and faculty have seen her in the big building. Merced Applegate Skate Park reports of a headless skater appearing. The skater is said to have tried a trick and fallen on his head and he broke his neck. Merced Girl Scouts Island. Yosemite Lake, a lady and her daughter went out on a small boat ride while the other Girl Scouts were sleeping. The daughter had fallen into a whirlpool and the suction pulled the boat under, leaving the mother behind. After the mother died, after grieving years, it is said she goes into the girls' tents now and looks for her daughter and sings to the girls and strokes their hair. Merced, the Tower Theater. The Tower Theater is said to be haunted by the ghost of a young woman said to have killed herself by jumping off the tower peak after being notified that her fiancé had been killed in the war. People have said they have seen the women in the theater asking if they have seen Johnny. Merced, Yosemite Lake at the tower. The story is told in the 1970s at the boat tower. A mother had taken her 2 kids swimming and were jumping off the tower. The kids had drowned from hitting shallow waters. The bodies were never found. Every night the mother would drive her car out there and would look for her kids. She had passed away, and still to this day, you will see a car drive out there and see a woman in a lomzoming gown with her arms out, crying and calling for her children. Milpitas at Levin Park Cemetery. The cemetery is now closed, but even in the daytime, electronics was shut off, start on their own, loud moans can be heard, flashes of lights and car problems, very cold in spots. Mission Hills, San Fernando Mission, apparition of a lady in a white dress with a white scarf on her head praying at the front row of the chapel that vanishes. Modesto Acacia Cemetery, a very old cemetery many people have heard of very mournful crying, scream while driving through the cemetery even in daylight hours. Also, a very horrible feeling of foreboding often comes with hearing these cries and screams. One couple, just using the cemetery as a shortcut, heard and felt it. The sound and feelings were very alarming in the fact that they seemed to be all around us, as if inside the vehicle with us. It was a very frightening experience due to the fact that it was indeed broad daylight when this occurred. Modesto Ambulance Station on Granger. The building that now houses workers of a local 24-hour ambulance service also holds the ghosts of former residents. It is said that back in the 60s, 2 parents killed their 3 children in the house. Also, as recent as the early 90s, an old Indian man died in the house alone while praying to a religious altar. This room, where the old man died, is avoided by the current occupants due to cold and ominous feelings of dread. The employees of the ambulance service have witnessed doors and windows opening and closing at will, objects moving across the room, the shower turning off and on, the sound of voices and children playing in the house, the sound of footsteps, and recently while one employee showered she heard a voice yell, "Get out." This sent the employee out of the bathroom, out of the house, and onto the front lawn where she stood trembling under a wet towel. The house is not hard to find. It's at the corner of Mahenry and Granger, right next door to a skateboard shop. Modesto, Dry Creek Running Trail. Joggers have claimed to see the figure of an Indian man when running near this creek. Some say that the spirit of the Indian is watching over the joggers who run the trail. Others believe is protecting the sacred land. There is also the spirit of a young man who haunts the bridge on Claus Road. It was reported that he jumped off the bridge into the shallow creek and died. Joggers have reported that while they are running in the early morning or late at night, they can hear a shallow yell or scream along with a splash. October 2003 update. This bridge is at the intersection of Claus Road and Scenic Drive, about 154 miles north of Johansson High School. Modesto, Fuddruckers Restaurant, formerly listed as Blockbuster Video. Most employees from the Blockbuster have witnessed this entity. It seems to be male and has a desire to make contact with the living. After closing, he will activate operated toys that are sold in the store. Open and close the locked bathroom door, turn the lights off and on and then off again, and most frightening of all, he speaks to the employees through the store sound system. When all trailer tapes have stopped running and the satellite TV display has been shut off, the ghost has been known to say things such as, "She, listen, and you've been bad." Another incident that took place was after midnight when a manager and another employee went into the office momentarily only to return, finding over 30 movie cover boxes stacked neatly on top of each other on the floor. This scared both people so much that they didn't investigate until the next day. The boxes were stacked in a corner of the store that the security cameras had no coverage of, so their story to their co-workers the next day was not taken seriously. June 2008 update. Additional information. The Blockbuster Video was demolished last year and is now a Fuddruckers restaurant. Before Blockbuster Video was on that site, the land was home to a Binno's department store and a skate park. In the early 1980s, a young boy broke his neck at the skate park and died from his injuries. This could be related to the haunting of the site. Modesto High School. The spirit of a young man paces the balcony of the Modesto High Auditorium. There are also reports of knocking noises heard in the main hallway, where the floor slopes as by the sewing room, that are coming from the tunnels that used to run under the school. Modesto Red Lion Hotel, a formerly Holiday Inn. Sounds of people talking loudly in the kitchen when no one is in there. Loud crashing of plates and trays has also been heard. According to an employee who has been with the hotel for 27 years, a woman was killed in the kitchen by an enraged boyfriend. There are also rumors of more than one person killing themselves in the kitchen. Also, while in the parking lot, patrol security has heard the sound of breaking glass as near as 2 cars away. Upon investigation, there is no cause for the sound. Rooms 420, 206, and 152 are also all reported by guests and employees to be haunted, especially in room 1 and 52, where all the electrical equipment in the room turns on and off by itself. The room has been checked many times for electrical problems and none can be found. Modesto Vintage Fair Mall, 4 girls said to have raped and murdered haunt a store in the mall. Mokelum Hotel Legger, hotel owned by George Legger in 1880. He met an untimely death, shot in gambling argument. Anyway, the odor of fresh cigar smoke still smelled in his upstairs room. Owners are always happy to give a tour. Monrovia, Azteca building, supposed noises are heard there, and an apparition of a lady in gray, white, and not too clear on that is said to haunt the place. This place is located on Foothil Blood, near the corner of Myrtle. Monrovia, Clifton Middle School, band room. It's been known that a ghost walks the band room late at night while the chorus girls are getting ready. Monrovia High School janitors and teachers have said that during the night in the second floor of the main hallway, you always feel like you're being watched, and it sounds like someone is sneaking up behind you when you are alone. Montebello AMC Montebello 10 Theaters. This theater is haunted by a spirit who was stabbed and later died when the theater first opened. Most of the activity occurs around Theaters 8 and 9. Theater 9 is always eerily cold, even with the heaters on. Upstairs in the projection booth above I-9, lights turned off by employees sometimes mysteriously come back on. It is also said you can see a figure's shadow when movies are on against the wall in Theater 6. Montebello Bluff Road, near the intersection of Washington and Bluff Road, at the site of the Battle of the Rio San Gabriel that took place in 1847. Spanish soldiers have been seen walking around and sometimes following passers-by. Montebello Cantwell High School, while working on the second floor of the main building for homecoming week. Fellow students were working late on decorations with a teacher. The intercom makes 3 beeping sounds to let the room know that a message is going to be relayed through the front office. The 3 beeping sounds were made and no one was working in the front office. The students heard whispering noises and went downstairs to check it out. One of them saw a balloon in the middle of the hall and popped it. Right when she popped it, the light out and screaming was going off all over the place. Montebello Doubletree Hotel. If you turn off the lights in the room before going to sleep, you may find the lights back on in the middle of the night when you wake up to use the restroom. Montebello Parks and Recreation Office. Any time of the day or night. You can hear footsteps and voices coming from the hallways and men's restroom. Many employees claim when they are working at the office late into the evening, they hear voices and footsteps. The problem is that they are the only ones at the office. Park rangers have reported hearing voices coming from the men's restroom. The source of the haunting has not been determined, but 2 parks and recreation employees have passed away in the last 10 years. The office was once home to a doctor's office. Do not attempt to trespass, you will be arrested. Montebello, Rosemead, Whittier Narrows Park. The figure of a Spanish conquistador on horseback can be seen occasionally around the intersection of San Gabriel Blood and Lincoln Ave. It is said he drowned here looking for his gold buried near the river's beach. Mysterious frogs roll and out here a lot as well. Montebello Temple Bina Imet. The halls of this building are virtually covered by darkness for most of the time during services. 3 children have been known to cross the hallways from one door to another that are completely adjacent to each other. It was once said that 3 children were taken into a restroom stall by their father, and each was killed by slitting their throats because their father was extremely sorrowful over the death of his wife and murdered his children to eliminate his memory of his love. Monterey, California's first theater, originally built as a boarding house for whalers in the early 18th century, it was converted into a theater. The only theater in California long before we became a state, is said to be haunted by the ghost of J.K. S1. His voice can be heard calling down from the attic where all the costumes and props are kept. The voice has an electromagnetic effect as if it were on an intercom or crackling speaker system, loud enough to startle several troopers, ushers, bartenders. They say it is J.C. Case 1 who built the old wooden pews in the 19th century. He wants to compliment all the actors on what a fine job they did with the show. They were really whooping it up or something. Monterey Robert Louis Stevenson House. The Lady in Black haunts the second floor of this boarding this where famous writer Robert Louis Stevenson lodged during his stay in Monterey. The Lady in Black is supposedly the proprietor of the establishment and haunts the nursery where her grandchildren died of cholera. Monterey County, San Lucas, Salinas River. Every Halloween night there is a new report of the crying woman. She is mistaken as a Llorona. Each year the kids go on dares to walk the river past the bend. One year, the kid never came back. One of the first girl ever to do it was actually helped by the ghost. She was walking too close to the edge when the ghost pushed her away. If she would have fallen, it was a 50-foot drop in about 2 feet of water. Moorpark Gravity Hill. After the road dips down a small hill, if you stop and put your car in the bottom of the hill, Your car will slowly drift backwards a fill. It's supposedly because ghosts of children killed there in a wagon accident are pushing your car. Moreno Valley, Nesson Street years ago. A bus occupied with children supposedly broke down and was hit by a large diesel truck, pushing them by the freeway overpass. There were no survivors. It is now said that when a car visits this site, when shut off and put in neutral, the spirits of the deceased children will push the car UP over the overpass. This only works when going south. In addition, baby powder sprinkled poured on the back of the vehicle will allow handprints and footprints of the children to be visible. Sometimes laughter and footsteps can be heard late at night. Moreno Valley Old Hospital Elementary School. In Moreno Valley off of Neeson, there is the Old Hospital. When the new hospital was built, the old one was turned into a small school for only the lower grades. The story goes that a deranged man came into the school with a gun where he took the students and teased hostage. In the back, there are 2 sheds, one big and one small. It is said that he took his hostages here and killed many of them and then turned the gun on himself. The old school is now closed and many have been inside since. Inside, people have said they see figures of children and hear the cries. Moreno Valley Priest Hill, if you put your car in neutral on Priest Hill, the priest who had broken down on the road, he will push your car up the hill with your foot not on the pedal. If you put flour on the back of your car, you will see the handprints. Morro Bay High School have been reports of strange occurrences in both the whole gym and new gym, lights turning on and off, cold spots, etc. Supposedly a young boy died while falling off the bleachers in the old gym and is said to haunt it. Morro Bay Pirate Ship Playground, reports of 2 boys playing on the pirate ship in the playground at night. Moss Beach, the Moss Beach Distillery, unusually shaped building is the current home of the Blue Leg. Building used to be a speak easy during the Prohibition. A woman who worked at the establishment was married to a seaman, but had an affair with a piano player. When the husband returned from Alaska and found out, he then murdered her on the beach below. The Blue Lady is a friendly and mischievous spirit. Mount Baud Ski Lifts has a ghost of a man wearing all white. He seems to be from back in the mining days. He is wearing a white suit with a white hat. He has a mustache as well. Montebello High School, back in the late 80s, a woman was hung in the C building. Now if you walk by Seed Building late at night, it is said that you can hear a woman struggling. In the auditorium, when the lights are turned off and you are by yourself, you can hear people laugh in you and hear mysterious footsteps. Mountain View Moffett Field. There are several buildings on the old naval base that are reported to be haunted. One is the old infirmary, which was built in the 1930s. When the base was still operated by the Navy, security police officers would check the building at night and reported seeing a little girl dressed in old-style clothing inside staring at them. Marietta French Valley, Boston Scientific Company. Witnesses report a ghost of a young girl around the office area between the cubicles. There are no kids allowed or anyone allowed in those spaces, would have to officially check in the front office area. Also, in the women's restroom next to the lunchroom, people have cited the faucet turning on and off on its own. If you are there alone in the restroom, it can hear in the last stall someone unrolling the toilet paper. In the clean room, items coming out of the bio machine have been thrown straight across the room, and you can also feel someone blowing in your ear. Marietta Kie Milling March 2005 update correction. This has been boarded up due to vandalism. It is also believed this is turning into an urban legend. There is no proof of any certain trauma at this place. All the windows and doors on ground level are cemented up, so you cannot enter the building and there are no stairs inside. On some nights you can see a girl about 1580 years old sitting on the ledge of the middle top window, a light blue dress. If you look up at her, a feeling of sadness comes over you and your eyes get a little teary. Marietta Valley High School, apparitions of kids and equipment moves. Napa, the Napa Sindoma is said to be haunted by 2 ghosts that look like a couple. There is one spat in the last theater room in the building that gets cold enough to shed ice over your Coke. When you sit there, you also feel like someone is watching you. Nevada City, the National Hotel, apparent hauntings occur here. Built in the late 1800s, the building was restored recently with the exception of the left wing. Lights flicker, cold spots, and creepy feelings in this wing of the building. The hotel has hosted miners and tourists who come looking for hauntings. Newberry Park Stagecoach Inn. The Stagecoach Inn is an original stage stop and hotel. Pierre was killed in the original inn. When the inn burned to the ground in 1969 or so, it was reviewed in another location using the original blueprints. It seems Pierre moved with the inn. Pierre's room is colder than the rest of the upstairs. The docents have opened the inn in the morning to find the upstairs runner rugs rolled up. The books in the upstairs library stacked on the floor. The sound of someone walking upstairs can be heard downstairs when no one is on the upper level. Several docents refuse to work upstairs. They feel like they are being stared at. A man has been seen several times looking out of an upstairs window. There have been several reports of conversations with an older, oddly dressed man who vanishes when turned away from. Newberry Springs, Mojave Dry River bottom from Mineola Ard to Harvard RD, the spirit of the hatchet lady is said to roam the river bottom at night with hatchet in hand. It is said she is the cause for many people's disappearances when they walk near the river bottom at Newark, New Park Mall. In the TILT arcade doors won't unlock and appear to be stuck. At night, when workers used to turn off all the games in the break rooms, there are two of them. Some of them would switch back on when turned off. No one else was there to do so. One of the workers spent the night there after working late one night and heard a little girl screaming in his ear, always having the feeling of being watched when alone. Some of the people that have been there say they have seen a little girl in the emergency exit doorway and just disappears through it. Newark, New Park Mall, Anchor Blue. There is a ghost in the stockroom. It used to harass one of the female employees. It would push things over when she was there alone. When in the office, we would hear loud crashes in the stockroom, but when we would look at the camera, no one would be there. When in the stockroom, you can hear the fitting room doors slamming shut when the area is empty. In the mornings, we would tend to hear the sensors beeping in the jean wall. We would dig through the piles, find the pair of jeans, and then turn the sensor off. Later on, the beeping would start up again, but a completely different place on the wall. Newport Beach, Balboa Island. In 1993, 2 kids went swimming and were killed by a riptide. At night, strange sounds are heard and flashes of light are seen under the water. Newport Beach, Coronado Apartments. An apartment on the first floor of the M building is haunted by the spirit of a woman. Muffled voices are heard, phantom music emanating from the kitchen, lights turned on and off, cabinet doors opened, and she has appeared as a full apparition. Apparently, there was a death in the apartment that could contribute to this, but the woman's apparel seems to be from a time predating the apartment complex's construction. Newport Beach, Newport Harbor High School, Robbins Hall. In Robbins Hall, the voice of 2 boys is sometimes heard if someone is there at night calling, "Where is he? Is he here?" 10 years ago, 3 boys snuck into Robbins Hall at night while they were drunk. 3 of the boys went on the stage and 2 of them fell off and were killed by landing on their heads. The 3rd boy left without telling anyone, and the police found the other 2 boys a week later. One can experience cold winds when the windows are shut and voices are heard. Newport Goose. John Wayne's boat docked in Newport Harbor is said to be haunted by the himself. Several maintenance workers, passers-by, and Mrs. Wayne have seen the spirit of the actor walking the decks of his beloved yacht or waving from the top deck. Niles Canyon Road, White Witch, or Niles Canyon Ghost. A young woman whose last name was on her way to a wedding, possibly her own, riding in a horse-drawn carriage near the way stop of Scott's Corners, between Pleasanton and Sunol, CA. Area is now Highway 8466880. She was thrown from the carriage when the horses were spooked by the first of 2 oncoming horseless carriages, a car. After she was thrown, the Sen car struck her. Miss Lowery became the first person to ever be killed by an automobile in this area. Many have seen a woman in white by the cemetery and nearby areas, accompanied with strange lights. November updated. A paranormal researcher found there's quite an extensive collection of newspaper clippings that was donated to the library by a journalist. The clippings go back to the turn of the 20th century, so they cover the period when the accident happened. According to the first journalist to report on the supposed haunting, about 10 years after the date in the 1920s, when the woman was popularly held to have died, there was no mention of anyone dying in accident in the canyon. And county records of the time listed no account of the body of anyone who had supposedly died in Niles Canyon. There was, in the early 50s, a young man who dressed in a white sheet and jumped out in front of motorists near one of the bridges on Halloween. He scared someone so badly that they immediately drove to the nearest phone and called the police, who arrived in force owing to the legend of the White Witch and drew guns on what they thought was a ghost. The young man was almost shot, though he was not arrested, but he had to be taken to a coffee shop where it took him until 2 a.m. to calm down sufficiently to go home. The supposed White Witch of Niles actually follows the scenario of a common fake ghost story, that being hitchhiking ghost story. The Niles ghost is most commonly said to hitchhike to one of the bridges in the area where she disappears at the toll booth. There is no cemetery that they know of in Sunol, which is at the top of Niles Canyon RD. Similarly, there is no Morrison Canyon ghost. Morrison Canyon is a primarily one-lane road that leads up to the 6080 freeway. There's even a radar testing facility up there somewhere, complete with life-size wire models of helicopters and planes, mostly upside down. Now, on the OGR side of the coin, there are airy photographs of orbs in Mission San Jose's church and in the graveyard, though the Investigate does not own them. The church, the cemetery, and the grounds are VRI active. North Fork, the old church built in the mid-1800s. The town was once the stop for the Yosemite stagecoach. The church sits on a hill overlooking the town. At night, you can see a light in the bell tower and the bell rings. This has been happening for so long the residents consider it normal. The only problem is the bell hasn't been in the church for 100 years, and it has never had electricity. It still continues to this day. North Hills James Monroe High School witnesses have heard loud footsteps and opening and closing doors when the halls are lonely. The girls' gym room is haunted. Students have heard lockers open and close when no one is present. Norwalk Chavez Elementary School, inside the main school. It is known that a former principal and possibly a child haunts this school. From balloons passing down the halls, doorknobs attempting to turn by themselves, slamming doors, and a cry or screams of a child somewhere inside the hallways of the building. The alarms go off in the building for unknown reasons late at night. Norwalk Metropolitan State Hospital. There have been sightings of ghosts in one of the occupied buildings. A woman was seen walking through a wall, and another time was spotted standing by the shower room. Dark figures have been seen in office areas, and noise comes from the kitchen when no one is in there. A mist was seen floating knee-high down the hall, then disappearing into thin air. This activity happened between 2003-2004. There has been talk of things prior to this, but nothing specific. Norwalk High School, a boy in the 1980s at the age of 15, was working out by himself in the weight room when a bar fell on his head while bench pressing. Crushing his head and bled to death, he lied there on the floor till the janitor found him dead. It is known that you could hear him still working out at night. Oakland Holmes Book Company, haunted by male ghost that throws books around. Oakland Mills College, Ethel Moore Hall, the ghost of a young woman waiting at the steps of Orchard Meadow Hall. There is a ghost carriage haunting the road behind this residence hall as well as Mary Morse Hall. Oakland Mills College, Lisser Hall. Lisser Hall is the campus theater and said to be haunted by someone walking from one end of the stage to another. Oakland Mills College, Mary Morse Hall, the ghost of a man in one of the rooms has been reported. There is a ghost carriage haunting the road behind this residence hall as well as Ethel Moore Hall. Oakland, the party home, located in California's Preservation Park Historic District. This house was home to California's Governor George Party 1903-1907. Pictures showing orbs have been taken, but no naked eye sightings. The rest of the park is also haunted with orbs having been photographed. Pictures coming soon in the gallery courtesy of Tim Denny, a Spectre, Ghost Hunting Society, Oakland SPCA. Many employees have seen an older woman in the pet crematory gardening. There's only one gardener at the OSPCA, and it is a man. However, the real gardener states that he never has to do any gardening behind the gates of the crematory because it is always weed-free. Many employees have asked who the lady is weeding in the crematory. When their supervisors are approached with this question, they simply state, "It's a ghost." We don't know why or how she came to garden at the crematory, but are grateful that she does a wonder upkeep of her area. Oakland Hill, Joaquin Miller. There is said to be a ghost that haunts the park at night. One foggy hill. In the Oakland Hills, a woman crossed the street and got hit by a truck. She died and her spirit did not rest. This very day, she haunts the park. Rumor is that the park made the spirit a hut and a model house. When it gets dark, people had reports that they had seen a ghost. Oceanside El Camino High School. Sometimes the image of a student who hung himself on a tree by the 400 building in 1990 is seen. Oceanside Hunter Steakhouse. The Hunter Steakhouse in Oceanside, California sits on a hill above the Buena Vista Lagoon. The land it sits on was originally the site of the Buena Vista Cemetery, and it seems that not all the spirits followed when the graves were moved. Patrons and employees have constantly reported incidents. The stairwell to the bar area appears to be the home of a female spirit. There is a storage room above the lower dining area and entrance. The room is constantly locked and hardly used, but for some reason the spirits prefer this location when the restaurant gets busy. There are 3 windows up there, and although they can't be opened, people feel drawn to gaze at these windows. Also from the 2nd floor, an apparition has been reported moving across the room from the fireplace in mid-air. Several people have heard their names called by both male and female voices. Like many other locations of hauntings, objects moving and power surges have been reported as well. The submitter of this haunted places reports seeing a face of a male form out of the chimney. ever selfly, but it felt welcoming. A former police officer has written about this. He patrolled this area in the 1980s while working for the Oceanside Police Department. But the food is great too. Ojai Creek Road. There's 4 ghosts here that roam this road. One is a guy they call Chairman because he is burnt to a crisp. They say he stalks the road seeking revenge on whoever killed him. The Simen ghost is a woman who rides her horse down the road recklessly till she comes to the curve, where the horse rears up as she falls, breaks her neck, and dies instantly. This is on the anniversary of her death, and the scene replays till daybreak. The third is a woman hitchhiking down the road in her blood-soaked wedding dress. No one knows who she is or why she was killed on her wedding day or why she hitchhikes this road. The final ghost is of a motorcyclist who rides down the windy road at breakneck speeds, navigates navifully considering he's headless. Ojai Valley Inn, anyone that stays in room number 5 will hear banging in the closet and a bad smell. Ontario Antique Underground, this is a fairly new antique store on Euclid Ave in downtown Ontario. If you look real closely in one of the old mirrors, you can see the ghost of a young girl, maybe 6 or 7 years old. She is smiling at you and giggling. Also, in the underground portion of the store, you can hear glass shattering and a woman's frustrated screams, but when you go look to see what's going on, nobody's there and no glass has been shattered. Ontario Bonview Park Center, a little girl about 7 or 8 years old was raped and killed there. Sightings of her occur after 10:00 p.m., where she hides behind trees. People say it's because she wants to play hide and seek with you. Ontario Chaffey High School, when in the auditorium the lights go on and off by themselves, and if you are going under the auditorium in the old bomb shelters where props are kept, a green light is following you. It is said that it is a student who one night was in the auditorium on the stage and fell into the pit. Also up in the light room, a girl haunts after committing suicide in the auditorium off the balcony. Ontario Field between airport and freeway. There is a tree that grew up in a big open field where the bodies of an airline crash were laid. The tree grew twisted and has a depth to it. As you approach the tree, you will hear the ruffling of thousands of crows on branches, but you cannot see them. Ontario Hotel Beverly, hearing footsteps on the sin floor when no one is there, seeing shadows in the southwest sin floor corner window, glancing up at the 3rd floor south corner window, and certain areas of the basement cold spots. Lights flickering, fire alarms being set off, all happening all times of the day, all witnessed by neighbors, staff at the old hotel, and passers. Ontario Comart on 4fest, in the ladies' room back in the layaway depth, if you are in the restroom alone. Once you are in the stall, the other stall door will slam shut with no one else in the restroom. Ontario Vince's Spaghetti, when you are alone at night, you will hear footsteps like someone else is in the restaurant. Sometimes when you're on the other side of the ice machine, ice will fling over at you and no one is there. A ghost waitress was seen walking into the back of the new room. Also, there have been reports of hearing her talking to customers when no one was there. If you go into the restroom alone and sit in the middle stall, the other doors on the stalls will open, close very rapidly. Also, if you are sitting in there, someone will flush the toilets and turn on the water, like someone is washing their hands. Then you hear the door open when no one was there. In the banquet room, if you are cleaning tables alone, you can hear thumping and scratching coming from roof. People have also been pushed in the kitchen by the lockers. Orange Sill Beach Boeing Co. Site adjacent to Naval Weapons Station, apparitions doors opening behind security personnel as they make their patrols. Strange breezes that blow inside of buildings, a feeling of being watched by unseen forces. Strange footsteps that just fade away upon approach, disembodied voices, guard vehicle. Lights turn off, as well as prior running engines, when guard is out of the vehicle. Strange balloons that appear in the parking lots at night, which take on a life of their own, then mysteriously vanish. This was the prior Rockwell site, also built over burial grounds of the ancient Indians. Many similar haunting phenomena being so close to the Naval Weapons Station. Even Seal Beach Police is aware of the ghosts. Orange Seal Beach, U.S. Naval Weapons Station, built over ancient Indian burial grounds, also built over Orange County Historical Site, known as Anaheim Landing. Anaheim Landing was an early seaport circa 1849. At the turn of the century, it was the main beach for people to use. It had a boardwalk area for shopping, food, and refreshments. The Bolsa Chica wetlands and marsh areas merge into its boundaries. Pinamene, strange shadows that move about at night. Ghosts of Indians have been seen. Footsteps follow security personnel around at night. Whispering voices have been heard throughout the plex. Lights go on and off in buildings. Spirits knock on the vehicle doors of security officers at night. Nature spirits, as well as a Spiralda water deva, have been seen. Various different ghosts have been seen throughout the weapons station. Blood-chilling screams and spine-tingling moans have frightened many nighttime security personnel. The location vibrates with history, and some hauntings are residual. Other ghosts interact with the letting. It is an area which should be investigated by parapsychologists. Many people have died in car accidents on Pacific Coast Highway, which runs through the beach area, or south end of the Naval Station. Orange County, Black Star Canyon, the site of multiple Indian massacres dating back to the time of British occupation, Black Star Canyon is home to many strange phenomena. Indians are said to have been spotted both roaming the ridges on horseback and walking the creek for a few steps before disappearing completely. Many night hikers report the feeling of being watched and the sounds of an invisible presence pacing them shortly off the trail. Screams and howls haunt the night along with the faint chants of an age and people long past. Nota: if you are planning an expedition to Black Star Canyon, travel in groups as it is a very dangerous place and pay no mind to the homemade private property signs. The Orange County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that all of the trail is in fact open to the public, and those signs were hung some time ago by squatters attempting to keep people off the land. Orange County, Fountain Valley, James H. Cox Elementary School, past 9 Croton at night you can go to the school and you will hear dogs barking, says German Shepherds and pit bulls. You will also find that dead cats suddenly appear out of nowhere and figments of hanging cats on walls. You will also see figures in the shape of a person in the windows and close to the school. You will hear interference on all forms of communication such as cell phones, radios, and also all throughout the school you will feel as though you are being watched or followed. Sometimes noises and lights are noticeable. Orange County Holy Sepulchre Cemetery. There is said to be a woman in white roaming the cemetery. She usually rests in one place. People have witnessed a candle burning at all hours of the night, even when the wind picks up. The candle flame appears to change color and shape, not actually flickering, but changing shapes. It will go from being a complete circle to a half circle with a defined edge to being tear-shaped. This light is in the same place every time. Orange County Levada train tracks. There is a ghost of a male in his late teens, early 20s who died a tragic death in the late 1940s next to these tracks. This spirit seems to be very hostile, reported by people walking by the tracks that have new knowledge of legend and hear distinct whispering at one such incident. The entity wished I see you, as well as feeling strange rushes of air as if someone is running past them. Cold spots, the feeling of not being welcomed, are also felt. Those that have seen this entity describe it as a male between the ages of 18 and 22 that is dressed in garments from the late 40s, early 50s. The spirit seems very territorial and resides in a small area in a small gap in between two buildings and a movable dumpster about Twodho to the right of the gap. She, by those that have seen him, generally appears to be a full-body apparition and stays stationary until his space is disturbed. He tends to show his dislike by slamming the lid of the dumpster. One witness reports, it was completely open as folded along the back of the dumpster. As we all turned our backs to the dumpster, the lid slammed closed with incredible force. There was absolutely no wind and no one in the area besides us. Whoever this spirit is, he does not take kindly to strangers. Orange County, Las Flores. In Las Flores, there has been some witchcraft going on, and it has been terrible. People or ghosts have been tearing down street lights, lampposts, etc. It has to be haunted. If it's not, then who is doing all this stuff? Orange County Olive Hotel. There are several ghosts and ghost stories. The one that sticks out is the one about the ghost in the closet. People have rented this room and a closet door only to find a man's body hanging by the neck. This is a man who committed suicide more than 50 years ago. Orange High School. Teens at Orange High School claims that a young girl age 15 passive from about 20 to 30 years ago committed suicide in the girls' bathroom in the theater. Sometimes the lights in the theater turns on and off. When you are by yourself in the theater, you can feel the air get thick and a strong feel of coldness, a wind come toward you. The bathroom door to the girls' bathroom starts closing slow, but then the door slams hard. Orange County. Reports of a young lady in a long phone white gown or wedding dress. She was always seen back in the service area behind a manufacturing area sitting on an electrical transformer housing. As she was approached, she just disappeared. Oxnard, Los Arbolados apartments. Lamps would be on after the residents had turned them off in the morning. Reports of a glass slowly edged its way into the sink and shattered as if someone pushed it. Oftentimes, while they're alone, the scent of lavender would waft past our noses for 2 seconds. It is a rumor that the place is built atop a cemetery that was moved down the street. Only the bodies are rumored to still be in the ground. Oxnard, Old St. John's Hospital. It is said that the can see spirits of some sort staring down at you from the top windows. If you are walking on the sidewalk near the hospital, you can hear strange noise. Oxnard Performing Arts Center. In the dressing rooms of the theater, the doors will not stay closed overnight, and the lights will not stay off, so they don't bother turning them off anymore. Some have reported feeling coldness there and talking in the green room. Oxnard Rosave passing Central Avenue. This road is said to be haunted by a female who was killed in a car accident. Many years ago, a drunk driver hit and killed a female as she was walking down the road, dragged her body with his car hood, and hit a tree, cutting her in half. It is said she asks for rides, and as soon as you passed her up, she's in your back seat. Oxnard Rose Shopping Center, Awat, the toy department of Walmart, is haunted by the ghost of a 9-year-old Mexican-American girl wearing a blue dress with 2 pigtail braids. Some say she looks to have been from the 50s or late 60s. Workers at NAT have heard and seen balls bouncing around by themselves or cold spats. The girl herself has been seen by a number of people who say sometimes she is seen in a full apparition form, solid or at times misty with half body visible. The ghost is playful, often giggling and smiling to workers who close up at night and come across her. Before Walmart was erected, it was all field, and from elders around town, the little girl may have been the victim of an accident, since at night it was fairly treacherous to pass because it was pitch black, and a number of people have been killed in accidents or victims of random homicides. The whole complex where Walmart is located, the Rose Shopping Center, may in fact be haunted because of all that has happened over the years. Oxnard Santa Clara High School, Santa H, was established in 1901. There have been many reports of numerous hauntings. Nuns used to live on the premises, and there have been a number of reports of people seeing a hooded fig in the hallways floating. There have also been voices and chanting coming from the old chapel that is no longer used. The most popular ghost at Santa Clara is named Joey. Joey was a student at the school in the early 50s when he was killed in a car accident on his way to a basketball game. There have been several reports from teachers and students of hearing a basketball in the gym and late and locker doors slamming after the room has been locked up. Pacifica eView Twin Theaters update now closed down. When the place is empty, you can hear fun steps, things get moved around. Workers report being chased out by something. Pacoima Charles Maclay Middle School, girls' locker room. Witnesses report cold spots. Also feel a presence around you of a little girl that runs around the locker room when you're alone. Others have reported an Aztec Indian in full dress at the school. Palmdale behind Joshua Elementary School. The train tracks behind Joshua Tree Elementary School. A black figure has been seen. Palmdale, Lake Una, a Sierra Highway, and Abe-S ghost of a fisherman has been reported to lash out, slurring viciously, ordering them to leave. Also tales of black figures climbing into the trees and vanishing. Palo Alto JLS Middle School. At night in a garden there is figure of a young girl sitting on a bench. The bench was dedicated to her when she died. If you sit on the bench around midnight, it is said that it can hear crying and soft whispering in your ear. Also feelings of being watched, but there is no one there. The girl was killed on a nearby train track when her bike got stuck in the tracks. At night in the bike racks, you can see a blue cruiser bike that is totally wrecked, and then it disappears. Palos Verdes Wayfarers Chapel, formerly listed as Glass Chapel, the site where Marilyn Monroe and DiMaggio were married. The only strange thing about this place is problems with cell phones. Cell phone signals are hard to receive in this area. Palos Verdes Lighthouse. It was something to do with a lady and her baby. Possibly, they used to the keepers of the lighthouse. Rumors she killed her baby then committed suicide. People say that if you go there at night, you can either see her or hear a woman screaming. Palos Verdes, Rancho Palos Verdes, Wayfarers Chapel. The Wayfarers Chapel was designed by Frank Wright Jerd and overlooks the cliffs and ocean. The garden behind the church has had much activity, including indistinct wispy fog shapes at night. A giant white owl that appears and then disappears. Voices that call people by name. An old Indian man that appears off in the distance weeding or tending the plants who vanishes when ahilged. Behind the church, up in the hills, is rumored to be a small cemetery that might be the source for some hauntings. Palos Verdes, Rocky Polil S for 3 miles of Redondo Beach. Apparitions of dead, skin divers, odd traveling lights voices. Palos Verdes, a Vanderlip mansion. The wealthy Vanderlip family lived in a mansion in PV. One day the wife went crazy and chopped up her family and buried them in the walls of the house. She also killed her 2 dogs and then hung herself from a wooden beam in the living room ceiling. The dogs reportedly haunt the yard and scare away trespassers. The woman and her family still haunt the house itself. Sightings of glow-going dogs have been reported, and members of the murdered family have been seen in the windows of the abandoned house. Sometimes at night you can hear the children crying for help. Panorama City, optometry. When alone in the office, you hear people talking in the lobby after closing hours. Some employees have said when alone they feel someone behind them, and when they turn around, there is her one there. Also in exam rooms you hear a little boy laughing and caresses your hair. Panorama City, Rose's Beauty Salon. There is a cold spot in the lobby by the cashier. In the restroom you can hear a little boy crying. Pomona Ganesha High. When it is in the night you could hear the wind, and you suddenly feel lead is watching, and it's a shape of a girl with red eyes. Parker Dam, Intake Pump Plant, Metropolitan Water District. Workers there today report hearing whistling and keys jingling when there is no one else around. Pasadena Abandoned Asylum off of Green, same located right under Suicide Bridge. People have reported hearing voices, seeing orbs, and feelings of anger and feel very unwelcome. Doors have been reported to move on their own. Woman rumored to have killed herself, unable to handle the voices after being at the asylum. Pasadena Angeles Crest Old Hotel. On at Lake Sea, where the mountains of Angeles Crest, there used to be an old hotel on the mountain. People have numerous things around the old ruins and around Echo Mountain and Angeles Crest, where the tell used to be. Pasadena, the bridge of Fair Oaks exit. A murder has occurred there. If you look carefully, you can see a woman and her husband either dancing or fighting. Also at the front yard, a girl has been seen about the age of 2 or 3 running around with a doll in her. Pasadena, the Castle Green. There have been door knobs that turn when no one was in the hall, shadows passing under the doors, footsteps heard, faucets turned on in some apartments, heavy perfume smells, chains rattling. Some apartments are more haunted than others. Pasadena Green Street Hotel. It is said that a ghost woman has been seen on the very top floor of Best Hotel in an all-white nightgown. Pasadena Haunted Forest. Strange noises and people following. There is a haunted house on the hills to in a mental hospital. Pasadena. The Haunted Mansion, nestled in the hills overlooking the Dow Downge, a old run manjun zisadindwich, a Loki Lermals and a Rodenangles with caulking love, rose bold, letting dress, was zine, even to voices zigzagos of Loken broken and broken, midnight at Wedo Bridge, Suicide Bridge, was zine walking, the Colorado dreads as Sugotapi wearing, Wav then disappears. Pasadena, the Colorado Saint and Scoville Bridges, heard galloping horses, seen spirit coyotes surrounding a particular figure with some sort of headdress and apparitions. Pasadena, the historic State Landmark Theater, was once a college of the performing arts, and it is reputedly haunted by the benevolent spirit of its founder, Gilmore Brown. Long after his death, and when the college was still operating, the elevator in the classroom tower Budding would often stop without command on the floor where Mr. Brown's office was located. Many actors and technicians have felt a spirit watching the proceedings, and one evening. Pasadena, the Pasadena Playhouse, once a school of theater arts and now a state historic landmark theater, is said to be haunted by the spirit of its founder, Gilmore Brown. The elevator mysteriously stopped and started, and often stopped for no reason on the floor of Mr. Brown's offices. Hear a distinct male voice saying hello, but there is no one in the room. Pasadena, the Ritz-Carlton, 2 guests were staying in a room sleeping. In the middle of the night, the women felt someone grab her leg from the end of the bed. Paso Robles, Adelaide Cemetery. It's been said that a young woman walks the cemetery looking for her children. All of them died after first settling in the area. Her husband then died later. Supposedly every Friday night around mid-glowing figure walks the cemetery crying out for her child, and after about 15 minutes vanishes into the darkness. Paso Robles Indian Burial Ground. There's an old Indian cemetery out near the airport. At night, every night, lights can be seen and voices heard in the native's tongue. Paso Robles Inn. The original Paso Robles Inn caught on fire many years ago. The date is unknown to me. Because there was no 9/11 then, one male resident stayed behind. From a telephone inside the inn, he dialed every room to make sure everyone got out. He ended up dying from a heart attack while still warning other customers. The new inn was built using some of the original bricks. It is said that in one room, a ghost calls 911. It was thought of as a prank at first, but when the calls were traced, they were all traced back to this one room. No one had checked into the room and it was locked. It is believed that the resident is still trying to save others from the fire, not knowing that everyone got out except him. Paramount West Campus High School. It is said that in the school auditorium, lights flicker on and off and screams of a girl are heard, and a deep laughter is heard. A flute has also been heard when no one is actually there. In the hallways connecting from the auditorium to the music room, there are shadows seen of a young girl, and a flute is always misplaced. Paramount High School. You can hear a girl screaming for help. That occurs like around midnight. Some people have witnessed the murder of the girl repeat itself time after time. You can see the girl enthroned inside the shower after her bloody murder. Petaluma, the Phoenix Theater. This used to be a movie theater and was burned down mysteriously, and it was built as an opera house, and it burned down with people in it, but it was yet again a mystery on how it burned down. For more info on it, go to the Phoenix Theater history. Anyway, today this place is a hangout for kids and bands play here. But people see weird things up in the balcony. You see out of the corner of your eye a white figure, a really dark shadow. In the bathrooms, you hear things in the bathroom. The balcony is locked so no one can go in there unless a big show. The basement at the worst. If you ask the owner about it, he will tell you about the place. And if you know the band AFI, they have witnessed stuff too. So if you want to check it out, go for it. It's an awesome place to get scared in. Pico Rivera El Rancho High School, a drama room. The Little Fader, aka the drama room, is supposedly haunted by a former teacher named Mr. Letty. His wake was held with a portrait rather than his actual body and casket in the school, but his spirit never seemed to have left the room. Costumes have been known to have mysteriously come off their racks and scattered on the floor. Doors are unlocked and opened on their own. Lights begin to dim and turn on and off by themselves. Mysterious noises are heard late at night. One student saw the apparition's face peek through a curtain in the Little Theater's office during drama class. And one teacher even claimed that when he once tried to sit in one of the theater seats, it was very hot. Pico Rivera Hondo River Bid reports of musket fire and screaming. Pico Rivera, St. Hilary School, in room 9, reports of an apparition of a boy doing schoolwork, believed to be a boy that died in a horrible car accident. Pittsburgh, Old Riverside Elementary, a news cited reports of 3 spirits here. A young girl with blonde hair, a woman with long brown hair, and a male guessed to be about 5'10". Also heard a faint and deep voice when he is around. Lights on in the middle of the night, the alarm can seldom be reset at night. Doors open close. Noises are frequently heard of voices. Footsteps, doors, other movement, things get moved, fall over, and the local PD will not enter the building. Pittsburgh High School, a man student was shot 18 the head. You can hear him running and screaming for his life and gunshot firing. Pittsburgh High, a photo room. Apparently a young girl hung herself in the dark room. When you are in the dark room, you feel a presence and get cold chills up your neck and back. Placentia, Crook Park. In the park, the girl's bathroom is haunted by a girl who was raped here, and the killer has never been found. Still on this day, every afternoon, the girl's bathroom will be doing strange thinning off, and when no one is lights, turn around, and screaming. Placentia, Tri-City Park. It has been heard by the late joggers that footsteps have been seen in the pond water, and an old lady's voice screaming for her lost children. Placer Camp Far West Lake Indian Burial Grounds. Near the Camp Far West Lake recreational area lies an Indian burial grounds, which now lies within the boundary lines of private property because of the ever-encroachment of people to the area. As with most Indian burial grounds, the sinister power is quite strong after several generations. The recent generation has fared much better than those previous, whose family members appeared to all mad, become plaid, unexplained deaths, murders, and suicides, and numerous grave misfortunes. If this generation has the strength to the drawing sinister energy by not venturing into its from, so far know what you're really dealing with before you play with something you cannot put back. Placerville, Carrie Hochel. The Carrie Host Hotels, 120 Huff and Co. is Urzaville's most one of placerted sites where to investigate the supernatural. Room 212 is said to be the most haunted. Placerville Chamber of Commerce blog. The ghost of a bearded man wearing a top hat has been spotted on the mezzanine of this old landmark. Employees summoned police several times over the last 15 years in attempts to rid the blog of his presence. They say he resembles descriptions of the town's official hangman seen in old pictures taken nearly 150 years ago when the town was known as Hangtown. Most of the hangings took place on the property where the Chamber of Commerce blog is now located, 542 Main Street. Placerville Empire Antiques, formerly posted as Empire Theater, May 2004 update. The theater has since closed down. There have been reports of ghosts walking down the aisles and in the bathroom in cold spots. Placerville Hangman's Tree Cafe, the ghost of claim jumpers and outlaws. Many sentenced to hang from an old oak tree here are said to harass patrons and employees of this small restaurant. Several drivers have reported seeing the apparitions while passing by in their automobiles. 305 Main Street, Placerville, the Soda Works coffee shop saloon is located near the end of Main Street. The owner can't seem to let go. There is an unfinished mine where supplies were kept and in the summer heat served as a morgue before refrigeration. He likes to turn on the bathroom taps and open and close doors. He also likes to hang out at the upstairs bar. has ever called the new owner on cellular phone. No one was on the line, but the caller ID kept reading the phone number to the Soda Works. And if she wasn't there then, who was making that call? Pleasanton Gay 90s Pizza. This building was constructed in the 1800s. A woman dressed in blue is reported walking around on the second floor of the building, and the owner and his family claim to have seen her too. She has written "boo, boo" on the inside of the restroom mirror every time it is replaced. A girl went into the basement to get boxes and was violently shoved from behind her. When she turned, there was no one there. After hours when counting money, things have been moved, sodas moved to opposite sides of the table. The license plates, the line, the ceiling move, random ones, not all of them, just one or two. Strange things happen when the lights go out. Pleasanton Hotel, most of the haunting in the bar area of this restaurant. The vintage light fixtures will go dim and then swing back and forth for a short period of time, then stop as abruptly as it started. A strong cold spot on the north edge of the dance floor. Most spooky, however, is when in the ladies' room in a stall, a knocking will happen on the door when no one has entered. Also, in the mirror, a gentleman with a decorated festive hat will be looking at you. When you turn to see is behind you, he is gone. Employees have similar stories. The hotel has closed up tunnels under it that at one time connected to the local police department. The hotel was at one time a very active brothel. Pollock Pines logging roads on Ghost Mountain reports of seeing strange lights or corbs. Pomona, Charles Grill, corner of Garrion and Holt. Sit multiple entities, footsteps, slamming doors, arguments, apparitions, physical phenomena such as potted trees whose tops touch the for a few minutes and then spring to original position. Whatever is there does definitely like to share the space with the living. Pomona, Lanterman Developmental Center, the acute building at the developmental center is thought to the place with the most hauntings and activity, with a morgue in the basement for clients that pass. All throughout the center, doors suddenly lock and unlock themselves. Keys spin around in the locks. Footsteps and voices can be heard on the residences. Figures can be seen going down the halls, washing their hands, or just playing with staff. Pomona High School, in the band room there are two ghosts. One of them haunts the closet. When someone is changing by themselves, they have a feeling of being watched. The other haunts the back of front left door. When there is no wind at all, the door either swings open or slams shut all of a sudden, and sometimes it refuses to open even if you push on it. April update. Located behind the school is an empty lot, which is what remains of Palomare's cemetery. Many believe this is why there are disturbances at the school. The only sign that the cemetery was there is a very small park at the size of a bathroom and plaque latted on the east side of the school. Pomona Spadra Cemetery update. This cemetery is now closed to the public because of vandalism. The police will be called. This cemetery was the original Old Settlers Cemetery from the mid-1800s. It's been the site of a lot of vandalism over the years. At night, a male figure can sometimes be seen walking through the small cemetery, disappearing into a headstone. The cemetery will be very still and quiet, strangely quiet considering it is under a freeway. If respect is given, it will remain quiet, but as soon as anyone starts messing around, a hot wind picks up out of nowhere. It can only be felt in the cemetery. Items have been reported to disappear and reappear in other parts of the cemetery that had not been visited. Port Costa School, October 2007, has been removed. Port Hueneme Bard Mansion. The Bard Mansion, which resides inside the Port Hueneme Navy Base, was originally built in 1876 on Senator Thomas Bard's estate named Bearwood. In 1911, the enlarged second home was torn down to clear the site for the construction of the present Thomas Bard House. It's rumored by many that the mansion is haunted by the late senator's wife, Mrs. Bard. Her figure can often be seen walking the grounds, perhaps making sure everything is in order. Porterville, Ed Trays Hill. There was a white man killed by a few black men when the KKK was still at large. He was hung from a tree, his head buried beneath him. To this day, you still can hear footsteps, rocks being kicked, and louder of what sounds like older men. Even a say that scratches appear on their arms. Prunde Lewe 101, on Highway 101 there is this group of trees on your way to San Juan Bautista. It is said that when you are driving at night, if you flash your lights and you will see the local witch and all of her horrors. You will see body hanging from the trees, children standing on the side of the road with their eyes bleeding. You will see animal corpses alongside the road, and last but not least you will see the witch herself standing in the middle of the road. There have been many accidents on this road because of people swerving to not hit her. Rialto High School, the story is said that a boy who had shot himself on campus because of concussion and died before graduation is seen wandering around the CE and G buildings late at night. You can hear footsteps going up the stairs to the top of the halls. Janitors and faculty members have also said that when the school is closed at night and they are working late, you can see an image of a boy walking around looking lost. It is also said that the C building, where the theater is located, is usually the coldest building and where unexpected things take place, such as flickering lights, cold spots, and more footsteps. Rancho Cucamonga Joseph Philippi Winery has been removed. Rancho Cucamonga, Red Hill Park, the men's restroom in Rail Park by the auditorium is very real. When being inside, you will see a corpse of a dead dog dripping with blood and then it will disappear. This happens between the hours of 3 a.m. and 3:45 a.m. Also, a little boy is caught scraping his knees and he slides across the bathroom floor. Rancho Cucamonga Inn. The Sycamore Inn, now a great steakhouse along the old Route 66, was established in 1848, but the original inn burned and was rebuilt across the street. Apparitions of a man dressed in cowboy-style clothes. Whoa, the Sycamore Inn. Com Rancho Palos Verdes, Vincent Lighthouse, typical lighthouse story of a waiting woman. It has been detailed on the news and maybe on Unsolved Mysteries. There were always stories about the Pozdord being unable to keep the place staffed, lots of transfer requests. Rancho Palos Verdes, Spike is a vacant lot at the end of Luneta Bay. It is surrounded by houses, but the lot remains vacant, even though they have tried to build on it several times. When you go near there, you start to feel like you want to vomit. Also, cars have been known to stop dead in front of the lot. Urban legend has it that a teenager went crazy and killed his family with an axe. Also, legend states that on certain nights you can hear screams and see a ghostly house through the thick fog. There used to be an iron gate that had sharp black spikes sticking out of it. However, this was long ago and has since been dismantled. This is a local legend, kind of like the Vanderlip House. Ravendale Secret Valley Inn is located off the main highways by truckers. Legend states that a woman was murdered in one of the bathtubs. Howls and footsteps can be heard when no one is around. The whole building seems to creak too. Redlands Theater. The Fox Theater is very haunted. The presence that resides there is sometimes violent. It's been boarded up for about 10 years and now it is being renovated. The building it's connected to was once an opera house when Redlands was first founded. Maybe one of the jealous actresses is still wandering. Redlands Harris Department Store. In the women's dressing room, you hear women talking. When the store is closed, the dressing room doors slam and heavy footsteps above the roof when they're noting above Redlands. Hillside Cemetery is a hillside cemetery dating tie. Back to is a very old cemetery, laterments dating late 1800s. Many people have reported strange happenings, such as car horns honking by themselves, balls being thrown back over the walls after somebody has thrown them in. Redlands House of 1,000 Stairs, a large house with 100 stairs outside and 900 stairs inside. It is said nuns haunt the place. It once was a convent. People live there today. Unlucky for them, they're not the only ones. Redlands, Kimberly Crest. It has been said if you go to Kimberly Crest after hours, you can see a woman in the top floor window sitting in a rocking chair. Perhaps Kimberly herself. Redlands Mariposa Elementary, a September 2004 update reported as an urban myth. In the late 50s or early 60s, a little boy named Billy was hit by a school bus. He was immediately taken to the nurse's office where he died. As he was dying, he expressed his desire to get back to school. Legend says that if you knock on the nurse's door, he will knock back or you will hear him walking in the room. Sometimes he will want you to play with him on the playground, but if you refuse, he will pick on you. We hopped the fence and searched for the office. When we found it, we knocked only to hear a very loud, shuffling sound emanate from the room. Whether it was a ghost or custodian, we didn't care. We booked it back to the car and took a quick picture in front of the school sign that read, "Welcome to Mariposa Elementary, where all our children grow. The police will be called if the neighbors see trespassers." The June additional information. The noise you're hearing is a time clock that makes a loud, clunking noise on a regular basis. It's located near the door, so it's easily heard. If you knock on the door, you eventually hear the noise just by coincidence. Redlands Maury Mansion. This lovely mansion was once a bed and breakfast, but it is now under private ownership. There have been reports of several apparitions, including a little girl, an old man's, once a caretaker of the mansion, and a young boy has been seen. Most sightings are friendly in nature. Redlands Prospect Park in Redlands is known to be haunted by several different ghosts. Many people have cited ghostly figures upon the stage. Years ago, a teenage girl that performed in one of the plays was raped and murdered after theater hours. Redlands East Valley High School, an apparition, a boy believed to be a senior who was killed the night before graduation. He has been seen around the school area. Redlands High School, theater, believed to be haunted by many spirits. Particularly, it is haunted by a teenage presence who lost his girlfriend in a car accident. He was so distraught by her death that he would climb up into the theater's air ducts and write poems on her. He died in an accident in the theater coincidentally, and he now haunts the theater at all hours. The poems were painted over in most places, but he still resides here. Redlands, Sacred Heart Church's school. Late night during rainy nights on 4th Street, there will be dense fog, and you can see multiple transparent figures wandering. When the fog clears on, figure of a woman remains surrounded by fog, walks towards the church, then disappears. Redlands, the gates of hell. There are 2 black iron gates standing along the roadside of Sunset Street in Redlands. Extremely unusual things are supposed to happen after crossing these gates, such as a ghost with a headless cat comes running after you, a bloody bull's head rolls down the driveway, and so on. The black iron gates are still sitting on the road, but the trail leading to the house has been hidden by bushes and trees. Update has been torn down and built over. Redlands, the ultimate ghost town. The majority of the houses are very old and Victorian, especially on the far south side. There are many stories of haunted houses and ghosts there. Redlands is also supposed to be one of the highest ranking cities for devil worshippers. Redlands, University of Redlands, Merriam Hall. The ghost of a man in army clothing wanders the halls of Merriam, a dormitory. He is known for sitting in the bathroom stall next to yours late at night. Many have reported seeing boots in the next stall when in fact there was no one in there but them. At night, when some girls are brushing their hair in the mirror, they see the reflection of a man wearing army clothing. Redondo Beach, Redondo Union High School. There have been many sightings of a ghost named Jake in the high school's auditorium. He died there in the 1940s. There are also footsteps that are supposed to be from Jake walking up the wall. There have been loud knocks on the walls when no one is on the other side of them. Lights turning on and off, and sightings and sounds from a staircase leading up to the sound booth. Some other happenings in the auditorium are paper airplanes falling from the catwalk and landing directly center stage. Students experienced cold chills in one of the staircases leading up to the sound light booth. Keys that had been lost several years before at some other high school had fallen from nowhere next to the owner of them at UHS. Another guy has died in that auditorium about a year ago when he had a heart attack while visiting the bathroom. No known experiences have occurred in the men's bathroom yet, except that his blood is still stained into the grommet of the tile. Redwood City, Canada College. Many people have taken the elevator in the Learning Center around 1:00 in the afternoon, and they have complained that all of a sudden they smell dead dog. Also, in the parking lot, people can see a naked guy doing the splits and disappearing into thin air. Reedley Old Opera House. She has been named Jessica. She moves things, turns lights on and off, opens and closes doors. The balcony has cold spots. If you question her presence, she will show you by moving something. You don't see it move, but you hear it land. If you're alone, you can hear voices in another part of the building. And don't be surprised if you get a pat on your head for doing a good job. Rialto Blockbuster Video. After hours, the power has gone out in the store while neighboring business remain unaffected. Dropbox doors have swung open by themselves, and the sound of someone walking has been heard when no is around. The specter even leaves footprints. Rialto Public Pool. An older man and a young pregnant woman in 20s clothing wanders the office area and pool deck. They have been known to walk straight across the pool and right above the water and fling papers and chairs around in the office area. Many of the lifeguards and faculty refuse to be there alone after dark. Richmond's Salesian High School reports of a ghost that haunts the 3rd floor. Students sense a presence when walking the halls after hours. Ridgecrest, Burroughs High School Lecture Center. There are 2 ghosts in the lecture center. One man died when he fell off some scaffold and dropped 100 feet on his head during the building of auditorium. The second man was an actor in a play by the school's drama club. A scene where the main character was shot was tragically ended when another member of the club put a bullet in the prop gun for the play. Custodians in the building report lights being turned back on after several attempts to turn them off. And a seat on the left side has cold areas noticed by anyone who sits there. During plays where a scene is very sad, the left curtain blows when there is no draft. Riverside Alta Vista Convalescing, call light turning on in room after patient passed away. Heavy medication door closing by itself on Station 3. Many reports by staff of seeing a ghostly figure of a man who killed himself years ago on Station 3. Riverside Ella, just 1 block north of the Mission Inn at 3563 Main Street, is an antique store called At the Villa. It is housed in an old building circa 1890, which was the original mercantile for Riverside. Objects move on their own accord and sometimes disappear only to reappear later in a different spot. There is sometimes a strong scent of perfume. A lady who had a shop at this location died violently, carjacking in the mid-1990s, and some say that it is her spirit, although it is an old building. When asked about this, the staff will usually laugh a bit and tell you a personal experience. Riverside, California Baptist University catacombs. Before the old mission-style buildings were Hallage campus, they housed an insane asylum. In the early 1900s through the 1950s, mentally insane patients walked the halls of the four-story building. Under the building was a network of catacombs that allowed hospital workers to enter and exit the hospital once all the doors were locked. It is rumored that sometimes bad patients were taken down into the catacombs to be tortured. The basement of the college now holds offices, but also is where the entrance to the catacombs are located. Throughout the campus, there are entrances to the catacombs as well. At night, one can hear knocking on the door to the catacombs in the basement and will feel a very cold presence. At random times, the secret entrances will be found open with freezing cold air coming out of them. Students have reported going into the catacombs and seeing the spirits of the patients from the asylum walking through the catacombs. Riverside Castle Park, many employees have reported seeing a lady in a white dress in the right, as well as one employee being physically pushed inside the Big Top restaurant. Sightings also include a spirit standing on the balcony above the Plaza Cafe. This spirit reportedly flew across to the trees when the employee looked up at it. The last experience was inside the arcade after hours. Reportedly, an unseen spirit opened and closed the door by prize counter several times when there was no one around. This incident was heard and not seen. Strangely enough, all sightings and experiences are by males and the spirits are reportedly female. No actual harm was done by the spirits. This area of land from the Tyler Mall to La Sierra Boulevard was an old Indian burial ground. In addition to what you already know about the park, a former employee also had an experience in the railroad track Kess Tunnel in the park. After hours when the guests are gone, the cafe would close. When any of the employees would be sent to toss away the trash in the far end of the parking lot, they would have to go in pairs. Reason being is because when you cross the tracks near the cafe, you can see the silhouettes of Indianen walking around. Sometimes you can also see what appears to be a fire burning in the far corner, but when you go to check it out, it dims away. Riverside, Indy Hills, the Avalos House. The Avalos House is an old mansion located in Indian Hills. At night, there have been sightings of an old woman walking the hallways and knocking on the door to the laundry room. Riverside Inn. The Mission Inn is an older, spooky yet extremely classy and pricey hotel. While guests of the inn may enjoy modern amenities such as an outdoor Olympic-sized pool and fitness center, the catacombs that run underneath the building heading in the direction of Mitrovidax are now closed. As one current employee of the inn remembers, an older gentleman was once given a room in one of the upper stories of the building, as there were lower floor rooms available due to construction. The next morning, when the gentleman was asked if his accommodations were adequate, he replied all was fine, especially the woman singing beautifully in the next room. He was the only tenant on that floor. This place is haunted by the Millers. The Mission Inn Hotel was originally a 12-room cottage where the pool now sits. The existing structure of the hotel was begun in 1900 and completed in approximately 1947. Owned first by C.C. Miller and sold to his son, Frank, in 1900. Frank's sister, Alice, managed the home until her death in the late 40s. Riverside Mission Inn 215. Reports of blue lights the size of a bowling ball has been reported at room 215. Riverside Mission Inn, Alice Miller's Aunt Alice room, floor southeast corner. This 2-level room is very active. Reports of cold spots, touches, apparitions. Strong presence of Alice. Riverside, a Mission Inn Brittle honeymoon suite across from Alice Miller's room. Multiple reports of being pushed down the spiral staircase of this 2-level room. In 1993, a couple on their honeymoon night checked out of the room just after midnight after reportedly being pushed on the stairwell. Riverside Mission Inn Catacombs, once an underground museum. This area was closed to the public when the hotel was reopened in 1992. There was an enormous amount of activity in the area of the foyer during the years immediately following the hotel's reopening. The hotel's comptroller at reopening resigned after seeing someone in this area late one evening. Riverside Mission Inn, Frank Miller's room, 4th floor, northeast corner. One of the only rooms not restored during the closure of the hotel from 1985 to 1992. Possibly now a room at the end of Author's Row. Strong presence of Mr. Miller. Riverside Mission Inn, hallways, numerous sightings of vanishing guests along hallways throughout the hotel, particularly along Author's Row, covered hallway near Alice Miller's room, Sind and 4th floor hallways east to west parallel to pool service area hallway behind Mission Dining Room. Riverside Inn Mission Dining Room, Aki A. Spanish dining room, apparition seen traveling near ceiling from entrance wall, near the patio, to the far back wall a south to north. Riverside Mission Inn Rotunda limited sightings. Area was closed to public after reopening, but has since opened to retail space around 1997 or 1998. Riverside Mission Inn, a Spanish patio, strong presences felt throughout, particularly in northeast Closter near the Lincoln bust. Mission, theme Glockenspiel was designed by Alice Miller, who died just before it was completed. The clock is notorious for misbehaving. Riverside Mission Inn St. Francis Chapel Courtyard, strong presences experienced near left end of Flyers Wall Memorial. Riverside Mission, a storage building behind hotels and north side attached by a small bridge to the main structure of the hotel. This small building has been closed to the public since reopening with limited employee access. Numerous accounts of sightings and unexplained noises. A construction worker reportedly lost his life during reconstruction in the late 80s in this building. Riverside Mount Rubidux. If you ever take time to visit this location, it is said that late at night, old spirits can be seen walking the tops of the rough terrain. In your ramblings across the area, you are also likely to find a tiny picture encased in the jagged rock of Rubidux, which appears to be a portrait of Jesus Christ. Not strange enough for you. It used to appear as the Mother Mary, Riverside Palm Desert High School. It is reported of a young girl walking around at night around the pool. It was said that she drowned in 1990 and has never left her school, hoping to one day swim on a team again. Riverside, the Press Enterprise reports of an old lady walking in the hallway near the old press room and disappears as she passes by. Doors of the restroom stalls slam shut, then lock by theirself as you watch, and tapping on the right shoulder, then instantly feeling very cold. Riverside Bridge, supposedly the now dry river used to house a green monster. This monster was reportedly seen on one occasion when it came up on the bridge and attacked the passenger of a car. Green residue was the only evidence left behind on this meet and greet with civilization. Riverside Cemetery. This cemetery is an extremely old burial site that is now owned by Riverside Parks and Recreation. The grounds are run down and not well kept, complete with fallen headstones that lie haphazardly amongst the final resting places of the dead. Residents of the area, breathing, flesh and blood residents. That is live a mere 50 feet from the graveyard. Add to this creepy scene the irony of a one-way sign situated across from the cemetery that glows eerily without the aid of streetlights. Riverside Municipal Auditorium. Like many theaters, the Riverside Municipal Auditorium decided to put on a production of The Nutcracker. An old man who longed to see the show for years bought admission to the show, but is said to have died of natural causes during the play. To this day, people claim to see him there on many occasions. Does he come back to see the end of the show he missed so long ago? Riverside UCR Lothian Dining Services custodial and late-night staff have complained of feeling drafts and spots at nights. Some doors have been said to close unexpectedly, and plates and silverware have been found to be missing or rearranged. In spring 2006, a student unfortunately hung himself in the Lothian dormitory late at night. There have been stories of people seeing or feeling his presence. Riverside University of California River Library. Most of the very large river library was remodeling during 2001. Parts of it were left untouched, however. Upon entering the main entrance, turn left. It will be clear which parts are older. It is said a female ghost haunts these parts on the first and second floors, mainly at night and after patrons have left and in the early morning hours. Janitors working after have reported sounds and cold spots. Short-lasting obnoxious odors have been smelled in the basement. A great time to go would be during finals week, as the library is open until 2 a.m. Riverside, Victoria and Dufferin. People have said to have seen many black blurs wandering the area and have heard screeching cries that sound like children being tortured. Rockland Finn Hall is a playhouse, and the ghosts of old playwriters about 20 years old still haunt the halls today. Rockland High School Theater. A ghost named Billy is believed to haunt the school's theater. There have been many incidents, such as when after school 2 students helping the teacher touch up paint in the walls of the theater saw "help" mysteriously written on the unpainted part of the wall. Another time, a cell phone was found after school and put in a locked cupboard for 3 days. When it started ringing on the 3rd day, a student unlocked the cupboard to answer it and couldn't reach it in time, so he dialed 69. A graduated student that was visiting cell phone rang. The first student asked her why she was calling that phone, and she said that that number had called the day before, and she didn't call the phone at all. The interesting thing is that the phone had been locked up all weekend long. Only the teacher had keys to the lock. Ronert Park, Gravity Hill. When you park your car at the bottom of the hill and put it in neutrally, go backwards up the hill. Rosemid, Don Bosco Tech. A student who shot himself in the parking lot is still seen at night in the front parking lot. Also, students have heard people crying in the restrooms of the 400 and 600 buildings. Rosemed Richard Intermediate teachers been knowing that the 500 building is haunted. Sometimes the janitor have been touched on the shoulder while cleaning up. Many teachers told the student to not hang around there, but they always say it's a tradition for the 8th graders. Students from 2001 reported that they are watched at all times. Rosemed Corner Rush and San Gabriel BLVD. A few years ago, an MTA bus crashed into a small car, unfortunately killing one of the passengers. The wreckage scar still remains. People say that a shadowy figure can be seen standing underneath the tree as if waiting for something. People say that they hear or feel someone when waiting at the crosswalk where the accident occurred. Rosaville, Wood Creek High School, a ghost by the name of Mac haunts the theater. He is known for dropping lights from the ceiling, locking doors in the theater, and tripping actors backstage. Roland Heights School and High School. Roland Hyde of the faculty members died in a car accident right in front of the school. Since then, at night students have been reporting a lady wearing torn up clothes and scars through her face standing in the middle of the road. Rubidux, Mount Rubidux, between the hours of 1-3 a.m. on the east end of the mountain. Strange figures have been seen running and hiding as if playing a game in groups of 3. They have been described as Elvis little people. They are known to throw small rocks in your direction and stack small piles of rocks in a path you just have taken. Sacramento Ashford Park Apartments, apparition of a child has been reported. Sacramento Crocker Museum reports of feeling a presence, hearing squeak of the floorboards, and seeing the apparition of a man. Sacramento Delta King River Boat Theater, an old paddle wheel docked at Old Sacramento, now used as a theater and restaurant. The theater is haunted by the ghost of the original captain. Employees have seen him sitting in the balcony during productions. Footsteps are heard above deck. A glass of water spilled by unseen force onto the soundboard in the sound booth. Sacramento Floor and Ard. A Burger King, a gunman walked in during a busy lunch hour and shot the store manager and turned the gun on himself. It is believed that on certain late night shifts the people working can hear gunshots and screams. The spirits involved are reenacting the event. Sacramento Freeport Factory. It is said that the Freeport Factory is haunted by workers that died on the job. If you are able to open a door into the factory, make sure you hold on or the door will swing shut and lock on its own. You can also hear the laughter of little children as if they were playing in a playground. Sacramento Iceland, the original owner and builder of Sacramento's oldest ice skating rink, still makes his rounds at night. Pops Kurth, father of Sacramento City Councilman and mayoral hopeful, Rob Kurth wanders the dark, cold rink at 4 a.m., just as he always did, making certain all is well. Sacramento Jackson and Bradshaw, the house was built pre-Gold Rush. Reports of children crying, spearming, whispering, items moving on their own, and various reports of shadows moving about the rooms. Sacramento, the Martinez House, located on 20 Sovereign Seat in Sacramento. This 2-story structure, complete with a creepy attic, palm tree, and 2 gargoyles with lions, was the site of a huge murder. It is said that Dar, Arden Hart, who founded Sutter Hospitals, gifted this house to the patriarch of his family, who apparently suffered from some form of dementia, where he one day murdered everyone in the house, including all his house staff, grandchildren, and even the family cat. House was sold on the cheap to the Martinez family in 1976, who then started reporting struggles going in the kitchen in the middle of the night, apparitions of a panting presence that would visualize of an oriental man in a white lab coat, a woman a flower print dress, the grandchildren, and the gray and white cat. House has been abandoned since 2000 when the grandson of the family lived there briefly but was scared out by something, changing the radio stations constantly. House has been under paranormal investigation along with the Sacramento Theater Company not too far from it, as with any site submitted to the Shadowlands. Always make sure you have permission to visit any site. Trespassing is not tolerated. Sacramento Pieta House. The Puena House is located on F. Saint in downtown Sacramento. In the 80s, it was a boarding house for senior citizens. Dorothea Puente, the landlady, was subsequently found guilty of murdering her boarders and burying them in the backyard so that she could collect their social security checks. The house has been renovated and resoled, but has an eerie quality about it. Photos taken in front of the house show anomalies and ectoplasm. January 2007 correction, formerly listed on East Street. Interesting link. Crime Library Sacramento. The record ghost of a very old woman in Victorian clothing is seen. Sacramento Sand Cove Park. Ghost lights appear from time to time. A woman's voice saying "Ti Papa" near the Sacramento River. Site was probably an Indian burial ground or mine shafts. Sacramento City Cemetery reports of several apparitions, including a couple dressed in black, a pit bull who follows visitors around the cemetery and suddenly disappears. No animals are allowed inside the gates, and a little girl seen playing near the headstone of a deceased child. The cemetery is closed at night except for occasional guided tours and is well known for its numerous hauntings. Sacramento Room of the Central Library, soon floor Sacramento Room. Sometimes it feels like someone is at the back of the room in the California section. The staff often hears the sound of mylar rustling. Most of the time it sounds like someone shelving or pulling out books. Also sounds like someone is in the copy room. When Noah's back there will be a staff member look for a book and they will not find it the shelf. Then another staff person will look for it and the book will not be there. Then another will look and it will be there. They have had up to 4 people looking. Then someone will finally find it in its proper place. The exact place everyone else has looked several times. 2 witnesses heard and saw one of the glass doors, some close. The doors sometimes swing open naturally but never close. One employee working the office a little before 7 a.m. and heard the wooden shutters on the door leading into the copy machine area rattle. Thinking it was a custodian entering, he initially paid it no mind until he realized he had not heard front door, which was locked, open. Acquainted with the stories surrounding the Sacramento Room and having had prior experiences in the building, he wasn't surprised to discover new one there. A complete walk through the room found it completely empty. Subsequent conversation with custodian Caroline revealed that no employee had been in that area at that time. Sacramento Theater Company, reported to be one of the most haunted buildings in Sacramento. This theater is home to at least 5 ghosts. The most well-known specter, believed to be a former stagehand, has been affectionately dubbed Pinky because of the glowing pink aura that is often seen near hotspots. Disturbances include footsteps heard on the stage after hours, a man walking the hallways, lights flickering. The theater is currently under paranormal investigation. Sacramento Sutter Middle School. Sometimes at night there have been reports of doors slamming and being moved around. It was built on top of an Indian burial ground. Sacramento tunnels under Old Sacramento. There are a series of tunnels that run under Old Sacramento. These tunnels were originally the streets of Sacramento before the first 8 or so blocks next to the row were raised above sea level to avoid flooding. Apparently, the tunnels had served as opium dens, brothels, and possibly for ritualistic activity at some point. Several business owners with access to the tunnels have reported an extremely menacing energy and strange noises coming from the tunnels, and went so far as to hire a paranormal investigator. Rumors that the tunnels are now sealed off. Vergus 2005 cry. A visitor to our site reports that the rumor is false. People can still enter the old tunnels through basements of the older buildings in Old Town Sacramento, as long as they have the property owner's permission or are in the company of properties owner. Is reported everything is still preserved. Salinas Old Stage Road has been known for many hauntings. It runs right outside of Zaidas and goes through the back roads of King City. One of the most infamous stories that had been passed down was back in the late 1800s or early 1900s. There was a woman that was walking alongside the road, and there was a man who asked her for a ride, and she accepted it. After a couple of minutes passed by, he pulled over and savagely attacked and raped her. After this horrendous act, he took the body out into the fields and decapitated her. Then he went out through the head into the fields and left the body. After that, there was sightings of a woman walking down the road holding her own head, or you see a woman walking, and if someone picks her up, she'll sit there for a moment and then vanishes right where the crime occurred. Selena's Market Street House. An old woman is said to have committed suicide by hanging herself in the living room. She has been seen wearing a black dress. Children and other witnesses have reported of a feeling of choking and a feeling of her trying tracked with different ones. Selena's High Bell Tower. It is reported from several students that a teenage girl from the age of 15 to 18, believed to be named Jennifer, has been seen and heard looking for her boyfriend by the name of Adrian. It has been said that she has asked students to tell him goodbye for her, then disappears. San Bernardino Agua Mansa Cemetery. The whole stretch of road leading to this cemetery is said to haunted by a beautiful lady that drowned her 6 children many years ago. According to Hispanic legend, she is known as La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman, and is doomed to roam the streets in search of the children she killed. Is she trying to reunite the family she destroyed so long ago? In addition to this otherworldly poltergeist, there have also been many unexplained fatal car crashes, as well as hauntings committed by 2 people that were murdered execution style on that road. San Bernardino Apartments on Marshall Boulevard. Abandoned reports of cold spots, an apparition of a little girl. A warning: as with any of the places mentioned, please use caution when investigating these haunted places. Some may be structurally unsafe or not so nice people. San Bernardino Aquinas High School. A student from Aquinas hung himself unacquainted between the stairways. His floating image can be seen after dark in the library as well. San Bernardino, Calico Ghost Town. People have claimed to see the ghost of Wyatt Earp walk down the coast roads of Calico, tipping his out of them when he walks by. People have also said that the old mine tunnel is haunted by the men who have died while trying to seek their fortune. Some employees have said that they have seen a man with a pickaxe warn them not to walk through. Visitors have reported many different sightings. San Bernardino, California Theater reports of a presence felt and seeing movement in your peripheral vision. San Bernardino Gravity Hill. Go north on Highway 18 towards Lake Arrowhead. Turn right on Hold Woven Canyon Road. Drive until you get to the first small bridge. Drive onto the bridge and stop. Put your vehicle in neutral. On you will slowly begin to roll backwards uphill. San Bernardino Holy Rosary Catholic School. Key A. Only one teacher opens up in the morning at Secam because of the sightings of nuns walking the halls going to classrooms. School is really old, and back then we couldn't get much out of the teacher that opened the place up because she wouldn't tell anyone. But she told a few of the mature kids. San Bernardino Bernardine Hospital. A nun has been seen walk in the halls in the oldest parts of the hospital for at least 30 years. She is seen mostly at night and on a few different floors. This part of the hospital is no longer used for patients and is empty at night. A convent is connected to this part of the hospital and a few nuns have died there. San Bernardino, Inardino High Auditorium. Doors close, lights go on by themselves. Stories heard by teachers that used to be students from the school have seen weird figures in the auditorium. It was heard that one of the students were fixing the lights on the second floor balcony. They fell of it falling to the first, fall dying. Cold spots have also been reported by students that head to the second floor balcony. San Bruno, Chafichis. Customers say that there are cold spots in the showroom area and they feel that someone is watching them. At nighttime, one time a customer saw the shadow of someone. San Clemente Shorecliffs Golf Course. Sewer pipes running through the Shorecliffs Golf Course have images of children floating through the walls and sometimes walking in the tunnels. Laughter and crying are often heard with no explanation. Also, growling animals are heard snarling and whimpering as if in combat and being killed. San Clemente Talega Golf Course. Hole 2 at par 5 O'Phil. An Indian woman has been seen in the brush-filled savanna between the fairway apron. Generally, a very faint image of the Native American appears in the morning and very late afternoon. San Clemente, train tracks near Cottons. Blood will sometimes appear on the train tracks near Cottons, where a surfer was killed while attempting to cross the railway to the water. His ghost has also been acknowledged to have actually saved other surfers from harm's way in the general way. Ghost of the Lost Surfer. San Diego Boda Bonita reports of an older man appears in the backseat of the witness's car. He is said to be the ghost of a man that was run over here. San Diego Bonita Vista High School. In the boys' locker room, showers sometimes turn off and on by themselves. The boys' bathroom in the gym's front room has been reported to have loud whispering coming from it when no one is inside, and a malevolent force is often felt in the bathroom. In the gym, cold spots are often felt on the bleachers, and at times you can feel a hand grab your or shoulder, even if you are alone. San Diego Brooklyn Elementary School. Janitors claim to see children running through the hallways at. And when the janitors try to go home after their shift is over, the doors won't open, they say. It feels like someone is on the other side pushing the door. They also say there's cold spats and hear children crying. San Diego Chula Vista, Proctor Valley, in dirt parking next to fence. You'll see a lady in white floating across the field and glowing. You'll often hear somebody throwing rocks at you too. San Diego downtown, a Solar Turbines, Harbor Drive near San Diego Airport, and Kearney Mesa on Ruffin Global Power Company, built in the 1880s. Apparitions have been seen in the engineering factory areas. These apparitions are said to be devoted workers who have long since passed on but will never retire. Office areas have been reported to have unintelligible whispers, elevators moving with no one pushing a call button, sounds of doors opening, closing, etc. Note this is a secure industrial facility. Access is restricted. San Diego El Cajun, one of the mobile home spaces. In one of the spaces there is said to be an old that appears occasionally in the house where two old people live, a woman and a man. Once when the man who lived there was saying a prayer, the ghost would get really mad and start throwing stuff off the shelf. Then when the man was out of the house, the woman thought that he was back and she heard the door knob starting to twist but not open, so she went to look and no one was there. Another time was when the man was fixing up his car. He saw the ghost and said hi because He thought it was a person who lived in their park. He put his screwdriver down, looked back at it, and it wasn't there. He looked down the street and up the street, and the ghost was nowhere in sight. Still to this day, they see the ghost. He is very pale, and you can only see his upper body. San Diego, El Cajun Rios Canyon. The ghosts of two cowboys can be seen at the back end of the can on the old dirt road. Some say they're looking for the lost gold. San Diego El Fandango Restaurant. A woman in white appears at a dark table in the corner. San Diego Horton Grand Hotel, located in downtown San Diego, has one or more haunted rooms. Temperature changes in sightings. San Diego. The Hotel del Coronado. Kate Morgan reportedly killed herself. Her body was found on the steps leading to the beach. It was also thought it may have been murder. She is seen not only in her room, which is now room, but other areas of the hotel and grounds as well. San Diego, Lake Marina Campground. Across from one of the campsites, in a wooded area, there appears the ghost of a young woman in a long white dress. There is a cold and eerie presence near the boulders that lie beneath the trees, and her apparition has been seen on 2 occasions by 2 different men. The first sighting occurred on a warm July night around 9:00 p.m. A group was setting up camp when one of the men ventured over the dark area and found the young lady looking at him. He was startled and turned away. When he turned back, she had vanished, but he could still feel her presence. The second sighting occurred around 3:00 a.m., a couple of days later. Another man from the same group of campers got out of his tent after being awakened from a deep sleep by an unknown presence. He looked over his tent and saw the lady pacing. She stopped, looked right at his face, then continued to pace as if she were waiting for someone. The man went to wake up his friends, but by the time he woke anyone, she had vanished. Not being able to sleep after the sighting, he decided to stay awake with another camper and start a campfire. In the distance, they could hear the voice of a woman laughing and singing. There seemed to be no explanation for it at that time of the morning. On other occasions, the same campers have heard heavy footsteps around their tents during the night that do not fade as if someone were walking away, but simply lift and disappear. In a photo taken of one of the campers in this area, there appears a large orb floating right next to him. San Diego, McDonald's on Miramar Art. Strange things would happen during the dead of night while McDonald workers would be closing and preparing for the next day. Tubs of mustard, straws, etc. would be thrown across and scattered the next morning. In one of the bathroom stalls, there would be a picture of the devil create from the wood grains of the stall door. The door has been replaced due to too many visitors wanting to see the face. San Diego Mission Bell, Taco Bell, employees have reported whispers coming from the bathroom. Trash doors swinging one time at closing. There was 3 closers, 1 manager, and 2 crew. One of the members washing dishes. He's seen someone who employee walk behind him and go in the walk-in freezer. So the employee, employee sold the titling, like there was someone tightly go in there. He would play a joke of the door. What he thought was an employee walk of the door. He went to go see if the manager was coming, but he was shocked to see both the manager and the employee were working. He was really scared. He had goosebumps. San Diego, Montgomery High School, floating lights can be seen late at night in the football stadium. Witnesses have heard screaming and then saw balls of floating lights came towards them, chasing them until they got to the front of school near the main office. Reports of voices in the bathrooms as well. San Diego, Merlin's Middle School. The school was built in the early 50s. There was a girl that once went to the school in the 60s who died by bumping her head during a PE class. Ever since, people have said of strange noises from behind them only to see that no one is there. San Diego and Miramar Hangar 1 is haunted by the crew of F-8 Crusader that crashed there in the 60s. San Diego Najia Market. In this small Japanese grocery store, an elderly customer suffered a heart attack and died in the store. Sometimes objects fall from the shelves on their own and with no explanation. One manager, while there in the middle of the night, heard strange noises and his name whispered several times. San Diego El Campo Santa Cemetery, formerly posted as Old Town Cemetery. This was partially paved over with a road. It is said ghosts appear to be crossing that section of the road at night. A February 2004 correction. The proper name of the Old Town Cemetery in San Diego is San Campo Santo Cemetery. Among the numerous other spirits sighted at the location, including the paved portions under the adjacent sidewalk and streets. Psychics claim that the site is to this day overseen by the spirit of the gravedigger, whose own grave is near the cemetery SE corner. San Diego Point Loma National Cemetery, just north of the city of San Diego, is a Normandy cemetery that was a favorite place for Marines awaiting to leave for West Pac Ground forces. The Marines used to go there on short liberties to lay amongst the gravestones, smoke and get drunk, and near midnight witness souls rising from their graves to walk near the 1,000-foot cliffs and look out over into the Pacific Ocean to see if their country was secure, and then they would return to their graves. Not too many young Marines wanted to talk about this experience back at the old main site of Camp Pt.3, as the cemetery is the location of thousands of buried Marines from the 1st and 5th Marine Divisions killed in action during World War II. San Diego Presidio Park, a little white deer can be seen running around, but then it vanishes when it's spotted. San Diego Ramona High School students in the band room have reported instruments in cases being ejected out of lockers, locked combination locks, and their cases being flung open. Private tutoring sessions. San Marcos Standilum reports of arrest of a man with a missing and apparition of Blanesh, San Diego Forest and behind the gates. If you want to see the video, go to YouTube. Come and search Quest Avenue, San Diego a screaming tree. In the suburb of Lakeside, at the end of Willow Road, there is a narrow dirt road. Down this road some distance, sen and after passing a slaughterhouse of some sort, there is a clearing with a tree. Supposedly if one blasts one's car horn 3 times, a ghost of a girl will start screaming. Mostly this area is a hangout for dubious characters, so it may not be a good idea to go alone. San Diego, the Whaley House, haunted by Thomas Whaleen. It is believed there are others. This house was once the city's courtroom. The haunting extends beyond Thomas Whaley and to a man hanged just outside the house. He was hung for stealing a boat. One visitor strongly felt the presence of a woman while touring the house in one of the upstairs bedrooms. It was not frightening. The presence was actually welcoming. There are tours in this place. San Diego U.S. Grand Hotel. This hotel was built in 1910, and apparently a man walks the hallways of the hotel and at times goes into the rooms and makes noises. San Diego Vagabond Motel near 5 Freeway, and a touchable feeling of dread, oppression, and sadness in room 325 and nearby hallway. Occasional glimpses of spirit of Amanda, a tall blonde or red-haired young woman. Apparently, she's a former beauty queen and model who, depressed over her inability to conquer a drug habit, slit her own throat in that room. Apparently, she wants your prayers. Praying replaces the air of dread with an air of calm and peace and scent of Jevon, and you can feel her saying, "Thank you." San Diego Villa Montezuma on K Street near Barrio Logan. Built in 1887 for a musician named Jess Shepard, the house has a very dark, heavy feeling. After Jess Shepard's death, the house went through a succession of owners, all of which claimed bad things happened to them while in possession of the house. Shepard had once enjoyed wealth and fame, but at the end of his life he was very poor and emotionally unstable. The house is said to be haunted by Shepard himself and an elderly widow who previously owned the house. She is seen looking out of the window in one of the towers. Reason for Shepard's haunting said to be the fact that Shepard was for being able to channel famous piano players while playing, and was once reported to be playing Mozart with one hand and Chopin with the other. It is believed that while channeling the great composers, he channeled some negative energy into the house. Beautiful stained glass portraying pictures of famous composer, writers, artists. In some of these, hair seems to be turning gray and beards seem to be growing. Strong presences is felt, and reports of seeing scenes the past 1800s sometime. It feels like something was actually looking out the window through your eyes. It was a very uncomfortable, evil feeling. There are tours in this place. San Dimas Extended Stay Hotel. The first floor is haunted primarily by the guest who killed himself in room 130. It is said that a man who was very depressed decided to commit suicide by slitting his wrists and making his way from the bedroom to the bathroom, where he was found by the maintenance engineer. The moment you enter the room, you are greeted with the presence of this man. It's almost impossible to sleep in this room, although it's been renovated completely. Many guests have asked to move due to having the feeling that someone is watching. The hotel will rarely rent this room out just to avoid scares. San Dimas Raging Waters. Many employees have experienced park phones ringing at all hours of the night. Most of the time, they come from the Wave Cove attraction. The line is usually static, and upon investigation, security guards have found the phone hanging and swing as if just dropped. Some guards have reported hearing the voice of a young girl asking for help. Night guards have also experienced their names being called while walking through the upper pavilion court and heard footsteps as if someone is running up from behind them. Nothing has even been reported being seen, but always audible. Several years ago, a small girl drowned in the Wave Cove. This is believed to be the spirit that makes herself known. A September 2004 correction, a little girl drowned in the wave pool, many others also did. That is why you cannot go out swimming in it unless you have a tube. And she was sent to first aid, where the freezer storage for the lower plaza food area happens to where first it used to be located. This place is called the dungeon. People say that they have seen a girl there, and they are afraid to go back there. Identical Peaks restaurant waitresses have seen a little girl with long hair who is to be Indian, has been seen walking in the end with customers, and also glass tricks get playing, and on the server rest falling and trip people. To view the restaurant at the bar on the wall on the west side, you will see get play with bunch of glasses falling and people humes. You will see that face we knew we see that some picturally and in treat was and cuss glass cuts tris from the piscine we're with the pit them. The building is very old and was known as one of the original stagecoach stops. The Samas Mansion. This mansion was built in 1887. As you can see, it's very old. There have been reports of banging on windows, the doorbell ringing by itself, sounds of someone trying to pull open a locked door, and noises of things sliding across the floor. San Francisco Abraham Lincoln High School, late at night, toilet paper can be heard unraveling in girls' bathroom by the main office. Also, in the girls' bathroom by the band room, feet can be seen in the stall when no one else is there and someone whispering. And the room by the cafeteria is locked and no one is allowed in there because a girl was raped and murdered in that room. San Francisco Alcatraz voices in the former eating area as well as the cell blocks are heard when no one else is around. Footsteps and the sounds of cell doors opening and closing also echo throughout the corridors. People have reported feeling cold spots in certain areas and the feeling that they are not alone, when they are. San Francisco Alcatraz dining hall, cold spots felt. San Francisco Bay Bridge. While driving on the lower deck at night towards Oakland direction, drivers would hear knocking on the windows. Some saying that they saw a headless man running next to their cars at the same speed of the cars. He was believed to be the victim of the 1989 earthquake. San Francisco Cameron House, located on Sacramento Sen in Chinatown, San Francisco. Once owned by Lady Cameron. The basement of the house was a refuge for Chinese immigrants from lives of prostitution and slavery on the obvious discrimination and hell that was once Chinatown. She sealed the doors in the basement to protect the immigrants from inspections by the police. If she can't open the doors, they can't inspect and then arrest and possibly kill the rooms of people. However, the people were able to come in and out through a secret passageway. Apparently, rumors spread about her philanthropy and some people came and burned down the house. Everyone in the rooms died. Now, the restored Cameron House at Turned Church sends chills up spines. The basement doors are still sealed, but every door contains a red charm and a gold charm to seal in the spirits as well. Furthermore, the pipes that run along the ceiling run to the end of the hall, forming an X over a door with the script, "Do not enter." Photographs taken in the house have shown white figures in the background. Supposedly, these photos are nonchalantly mingled in with normal ones and kept in photo albums at the site. This possibly happened around the 1930s or so. It might be the late 1800s or the early 1900s, most likely early 1900s. San Francisco, Child Support Services in the place is a woman around 20, 30 walking around, moving things. People always mistake her for a woman working there. She's always walking around after closing time, and when the janitors are trying to clean, she's always getting in front of the vacuum. She doesn't bother people, but she RLY scares them and always misplaces workers' badges and keys. San Francisco, Corpus Christi Elementary School Part 2, the back room in the parish hall. Some say they have seen ghosts walking around and playing in the room. There are pianos in the room, and some people claim to hear the pianos playing classical music. They say that people were murdered in the room, and those spirits are the ones haunting the living. San Francisco CCS Elementary School. There is an urban legend of an elderly church-going woman who was murdered by being pushed from a steep staircase, and whose body was later disposed of in the nearby dumpster. It is said that when young girls use the bathroom near the staircase, you can hear her praying, "Hail Mary." San Francisco Golden Gate Park. There's a police officer ghost that roams Golden Gate Park. People get pulled over and get speeding tickets by this guy, but when they go to file it through the courts, they'll find out that the officer listed doesn't exist. He's been dead for 10 years. Anyway, the story goes that if a cop in the park is trailing you, you need to go outside of the park first before you pull over. And once you do, the ghost cop will disappear. San Francisco Haskell House, ghost of Senator Broderick pacing back and forth. San Francisco James Demon Middle School, teachers and students have reported seeing a dead girl walking up the stairs and haunts the sin floor girls' bathroom. She closes the door to the stalls and flushes the toilet. They say her name is Elizabeth. People also hear someone moving chains on the third floor. San Francisco, Lucasfilm formerly listed abandoned army hospital. Many soldiers died and their ghosts still haunt this hospital in Park Presidio. It is fenced off, but you can find ways either under the fence or over it. Many windows have been boarded up, but a basement door towards the back of the building is open. Also, many windows are busted out and it is musty-filled and very spooky. You can hear footsteps, see reflections of light, and sometimes a cold draft. Even SFPD will not enter. The police patrol the area and it is very possible you will get arrested or ticketed. March 2008 was torn down. There are no new reports since being owned by Lucasfilm. San Francisco Martin Luther King Middle School. The place in the school that is haunted is the Strun room on the second floor by a boy named Johnny. The story is that he was a bad kid that loved to pick on students until one day he asked to go to the both room, and when he didn't come back, they sent someone up there to look. He wasn't there. It is said that if you are alone in the hall, you can hear a knocking on the bathroom door. The teachers keep the bathroom door locked, and no one is allowed to go in. San Francisco, Neptune Society Columbarium, located at 1 Lorraine Court, San Francisco. Original of the Odd Fellows Cemetery, the columbarium still stands over Jerry Boulevard near Stanion Street. This repository of the dead isn't only wonderful eye candy, but has been a place of ghostly sightings as well. One encounter included a visitor having felt a hand on her back. When the woman turned around, no one was there, but an eerie white handprint remained on her blouse. Now a registered city landmark, the columbarium is open to the public. Donations are encouraged. San Francisco Ocean Beach Sutro Bath. The Sutro Baths have quite a history behind them, as well as the tunnel that lies directly to the right of the old sunken building. It has been said that many people have been sacrificed at the end of this tunnel, and if you go at nightfall and light a candle at the end of the tunnel, someone will come and pick it and throw it into the water that rushes up just beyond the rocks. San Francisco Orchard Supply Hardware. There is a story of girl being murdered and raped in the warehouse area of the store 1 year before it became Orchard. Employees have seen a figure walking, and she has heard footsteps that seem to be the sound of high heels. No one wears high heels, screaming and laughing, as well as boxes moving. She likes to blow in men's ears, and girls with long hair often feel a slight tug. One report of a worker that had just shrunk wrapped a pallet. The power went out and there is a 5-sec delay for the generator to kick on. In that 5-sec, something completely unwrapped the pallet. San Francisco Paso Robles Hotel. A 911 operator got a call from room 1007 in this hotel. When police investigated and found the room empty, the manager thought the call might have come from the ghost that haunts the room. The spirit is believed to be deceased night clerk who died when the former hotel on the site burned on December 1940. The current hotel was built with bricks from that hotel. Several of the hotel employees report getting calls from room 1007 at the front desk, but when they investigate, the room is always empty. San Francisco Queen Anne Hotel, located at the corner of Sutter and Octavia. The Queen Anne Hotel, the elegant Victorian-style hotel, which dates back to the 1890s. With free access to all of the floors and some of the rooms, it's a great place to perform an investigation. If you want, you can spend a night or so in Miss Mary Lake's room. Before the hotel even was a hotel, it was a school for girls, since few girls had access to schools back then. Miss Mary Lake was the teacher. She was dedicated to her work. But when the school was closed down, she was heartbroken, and as she eventually died, her spirit remained. Room 410 top floor is where you can find her room. San Francisco Richmond's Point Isabel Regional Shoreline Park. A young woman was seen in the area searching the shoreline for something, and when approached, faded out. San Francisco Safeway, located in the middle of San Francisco, Safeway between 17th Avenue and Tarval. There were recent sightings by employees that a young boy was sighted in the empty hallways leading the storage room. The time was around 12:12 am closing time. The employees, even a customer, saw a young male at the age around 7-10 walking slowly towards them, but from a distance. One of the employees claimed to see the young spirit sitting beside some crates with his head down and his arms covering his knees. The customer simply believed that he saw someone standing on the corner at the end of the hallway facing against the wall. He wanted to use the nearby restroom before he saw the figure. All visions of his spirit were blurry because they said that there was lack of lighting inside the location. Rumors are that the building was once a motel in the mid-1900s until it was burnt down because the owner had money problems with local gang members. However, the presence of the young boy is still a mystery. San Francisco Arts Institute, supposedly built on a cemetery in the early 1900s after an earthquake. It is haunted by a few restless spirits. San Francisco San Remo Hotel. The hotel was reportedly owned by a madame. She reportedly haunts room 33. She has been known to knock on doors of the hallway the room is in, and when people open the doors after repeated knocks, no one is around. There is also reports of a little girl roaming the hallways and trying to get into room 42. It is actually an amazing hotel and a great place to stay in with large groups of people at cheap too. There are always cold spots to be felt, and the sense of someone watching. It's a calming feeling, not creepy at all. San Francisco, a School of the Arts high school, former site of McTier HS. Sin can be heard in the third-floor bathroom when no one is around. Also on the third floor, knocking on the lockers and from inside locked classrooms can be heard. San Francisco, Strawberry Hill, a Stowe Lake Golden Gate Park. It has been said that in the 1920s, a woman became pregnant, hid the pregnancy from her family. She disposed of the child and killed herself in the reservoir. At night, if you're at Stowe Lake, you may see her walking around Strawberry Hill looking for her baby. San Francisco, the Mansions Hotel, the ghost of the original owner's daughter, Claudia, can be seen and heard by staff and guests. She has also been known to communicate yes and no answers. San Francisco, Trinity Episcopal Church, reports a gray figure coming out of the men's bathroom and disappearing through the wall on the other side of the hall. Also experienced strange drafts, 3-directional shadows of a person, and an apparition in a white suit. San Francisco YEF Medical Center, intensive care nursery haunted by women that have died in childbirth. Many children haunt pediatric. The 8th floor was so bad it had to be exorcised. San Francisco, Washington High School. It has been said that the boys' 3rd floor restroom is haunted. At night, or at later hours after school when not as many people are around, people have reported seeing her standing by one of the stalls then vanish. San Gabriel, Gabrielino High School, less than 2 miles away from the San Gabriel Mission, which house a historical cemetery. It is rumored that the Gabrielino site was built on a cemetery of the very same tribe of Indians from which it gets its name. There have been reports from sports teams coming home from away games at night hearing strange sounds, such as children crying even when the campus is empty, and the hazy apparition of a body that appears down hallway to disappear when approached. San Gabriel, Red Cross Mansion have been known to close doors softly if people leave them open, almost politely. Sometimes you can hear soft voices whispering as if to not disturb anyone. Phone calls are made from rooms that are not occupied, including the underground tunnel, the basement, and the attic. Kitchen has electricity go on and off for no reason. It is thought that the spirits are of servants who have passed on. Face of man has been seen in some windows after the last people leave. San Gabriel Civic Auditorium. The San Gabriel Civic Auditorium's past is very long and are many stories of hauntings. Back was being built, underground tunnels were built under the length of the building. They were built so that the owner, nicknamed Uncle John, could go from backstage to the foyer. When Uncle John died, the tunnels went unused for years, and when the Depression came, those tunnels were used as catacombs to house dead bodies. Once they were filled, the catacombs were sealed. In the men's restroom in the front, there is a door. When you open that door, there is just a brick wall. When a crew tried to breach the wall, they got 5 feet, and there was still brick. Why would someone seal a tunnel in more than 5 feet of brick? No one will ever know unless they try to breach it again. Now to the stories. There is a drop that was preserved because it was the only remaining drop from the original stage. Sometimes during the Temple City High School musical, that drop swings unintentionally. There is no wind and no one ever touched that drop. A psychic was brought in and they said they saw a man swing on the drop. Another story is that there are TV monitors on stage left that broadcast what is being shown on stage. In 2003, and during the Music Man, there was a person seen in the 2nd-story window on one of the houses. Many stage crew, tech crew, and actors saw this man on the TV monitor. Also, many of the audience saw this man too. The problem with this is that there is no way for a man to be standing in the 2nd-story window because there is no ledge or anything for him to stand on. The man was later recognized as Uncle John. There are also stories of a little girl who roams the halls and an old stage manager who roams the halls at night. San Gabriel High School, a young student hung himself at the basketball courts. And 2 students died at the wash at the time of El Nino storm trying to skip school that day. San Gabriel Mission High School, bathroom towel dispensers are heard being used and a How is seen dangling that hung herself off of the library balcony. San Gabriel Mission, in the old church, very often it will suddenly get very cold. You can sense something there, but when you look around there is nothing. For such a beautiful historic church, the feeling of foreboding is amazing. San Jacinto Los's pet feathers and fur sounds and sightings. Shadows that appear in several different places and then disappear. An occasional voice that sounds at somebody whispering. Also cited, An old guy with a military type of uniform who staggers through the walkways and seems to appear under certain situations, usually at night. San Jacinto Vosburg Kef Hotel. It's been abandoned for many years now and has been boarded up, but have been reports of lights flickering on and off and a presence of some sort. San Jose AMC Saratoga 14. A poltergeist presence very strong in this 14-screen multiplex. How's lights flicker on off, muffled laughter, whispers. Also, armrests lower and raise themselves up of their own accord, especially in Theater 5. Also, workers report in the projection booth a shadowy figure can be glimpsed. Lurks around projector number 5. San Jose's Arbuckle Elementary. A boy was brutally murdered in the late 70s. He was stabbed many times in the back. People say when they pass by it at night, they can see him with the knife in his back. San Jose's Boys and Girls Club. In the gym, there have been people bouncing the ball, where a man, Nene Diary, died while building the gym. San Jose's Burnett Academy Middle School. There's a door in the girls' locker room that leads to a classroom upstairs. A long time ago, a girl was running up the stairs and she tripped and she died. It is said that when you are in the girls' locker room at night, you can hear things coming from the stairwell, like someone falling. It has mostly been heard by cheerleaders after a basketball game. San Jose's Chuck E. Cheese haunted a little girl on the third floor. San Jose's Del Mar High School. In 1942, a boy was murdered by his best friend, many people say at approx. 3 Free Finamit is said that you can hear a boy screaming help in the football field where he was murdered. Some people say you can even see him running down the bleachers. San Jose's Adotti's Pond Bernal. A little girl went to a party and she got mad at her parents. She hung her parents in the barn. She then drowned herself in the pond so they could be together in heaven. Some people say that at night they can hear her scream for help because she didn't really want to die. San Jose's Dove Hill Elementary School. It is said that at night a boy with a name tag that says Pt.3 appears. He is said to wear regular clothes and seems like a child, but his face is sad to be missing. Just flat skin. Teachers who work late usually say they see him at walking on the basketball courts. One teacher noted that she approached him to ask him why he was here so late. She ran and called another teacher when this ghost turned around and appeared to have no face. A group of boys have also said that they say lights in the classrooms turn on and off while they were at the school late at night. There have been no records of any students dying at this school. However, people still talk about this mysterious ghost who hangs out at the basketball courts named Mikoga San Jose El Rancho Verde Apts. Legend has it that in the early 70s, a well-known maintenance employee raped and killed 2 young high school girls in the apartment's main garbage. It is said that when passing by late at night, you could hear a distant torturous cry of a girl. Residents of the area are still spooked by the chill you get when passing through this area. San Jose's Evergreen Valley College. It was said that in the middle of the school, a young lady hung herself there, and sometimes at night when people get out of their night classes, people see her. San Jose's Foxdale Apartments. At these apartments, there have been sightings of ghosts. It is said that these apartments were built on top of an old cemetery and that there were still some graves. At one apartment, a young woman hung herself because her family left her. There have been sightings of her after her death. San Jose's Happy Hollow Park. The creek behind the baby zoo at the Happy Hollow Park is haunted by a lady wearing a short red dress with a black belt and long black hair. She is believed to have been murdered there in the 70s. San Jose's Independence High School. In the large theater, there is a presence named George. Legend is that he fell off one of the catwalks while working. Now his spirit haunts the theater. Lights switch on and off during presentations done for students. Seats pull down and come up when no one is sitting next to you. And if alone in the theater practicing for a show, George loves to play lighting tricks on you. Fact is, no one has ever died in that theater. No janitors are ever allowed to go up there, nor do they have reason to. The history, however, behind George is he has been ever present since it was built. No one really knows where he comes from or what the history of the land is or anything, though there is a basic story that does float around. So far, our George has 3 figures. The first being there was the business, like man figure that's standing up against the wall. The second time George appeared, it was to the actors. Air techs never saw him that night. However, actors kept complaining about a little boy running around backstage trying to catch his toy ball. The last sighting that has happened was about a year ago, witnessed by 2 people who were alone in the building. It was of a very large man, and he sat down and filled up the asle of the house, which is about 202 to 3 feet wide. A week later, after seeing this, one of the witnesses was in the lighting booth and reports, "My friend and I were coming down the stairs of the lighting booth to go talk to our teacher, who was at the other end of the building, nowhere near the stage or house ear where the audience sits, As we got halfway down, the whole booth started shaking violently. Us, thinking it was an earthquake, ran and got the heck out of there. We went to our teacher's office, which is located in the same building, and asked her if she felt an earthquake or anything. She looked at us and said, "No, what are you talking about?" Since then, George has managed to become more violent here and there. He never harms anyone. However, he still continues to play his usual tricks. St. Joe's Notre Dame ASS, a nun years back hung herself off the balcony because she was pregnant. It is now said to be haunted. Also, the gym, which is no longer in use, has been reported to have ghosts. St. Joe's old horse stables, it is said that the old owner of the stables haunts the old barns. These stables are located behind Yerba Boone HS. Many teens go to the old barns at night for a scare. They have reported voices and a ghostly figure of a man. St. Joe's Overfilt High School. There have been sightings of a janitor that passed in the early 80s. Students say they hear his cart being pushed around during nighttime. San Joe's Piedmont Hills High School spotted a girl in the hallway. Her parents died in a car crash, and she was left in the school, where she hung herself. Now it is said that she walks around the halls, opening and closing doors, and is also seen when walking alone. San Joe State University, 1857. The old gym was used as a collection area for Japanese during Baguio. Voices and crying can be heard here at night. San Joe Silver Creek High School. A young ghost named Amy haunts the theater of the high school. It is said she hung herself inside one of the bathrooms behind the stage. San Joe's Slonaker Elementary School. It is said that many witnesses have heard the sound of children playing while students are in class. There was a child run over and killed by his uncle. San Joe's Winchester House, that it is a house owned by Sarah Winchester. It is believed to be haunted by Sarah and the spirits of those who were killed by Winchester's guns. Cold spots felt, an impression of someone lying in Sarah's bed. Apparitions, rocking chairs rocking, being pushed by unseen hands, disembodied, talking and laughing. San Juan Capistrano, Old Town San John train tracks, train caboose, 1869. This is a red caboose seated in the parking lot to the right. It is a part of a restaurant made out of an old train set. The second window from the right, there is a faint light seen peering through the window late at night. There are no other lights on in the empty caboose. If there were a light on in the caboose, the other rows would appear to have the same glow. San Juan Capistrano, Old Town San Johnny train tracks, woman in white, seen in a park setting near a drinking fountain. It has been a personal experience of mine to see her kneeling and praying facing the fountain. She then rises slowly and advances towards you with a sense of urgency, flowing like a white handkerchief in the wind, even when there is no wind. She then dissipates. San Juan Capistrano Mission. Reports of an Indian girl seen by Summer Memorial. Also spotted shadows of people and heard children crying in the cemetery, where a surprisingly large number of people were buried in a surprisingly small space. San Lorenzo High School D Hall. It has been reported by many janitors and teachers that a little girl walks up and down D Hall and the class is in it with her doll at hand. Some also say she moves vending machines, tosses chairs and desks. The story goes like this. Supposed before the school was built, it was an old cherry field, and the girl's father worked there. One day she was playing in the fields and fell asleep while her fowl was working. The father then got in a tractor and started mowing the fields. He ran her over and killed her without noticing that the cherry stains on the tractor was actually blood. He later looked for her and found her dead, cut up where D Hall is now. San Luis Obispo, Oceano Black Lake. Reports of an old Spanish lady in a black ruffled dress that ducks around the lake at night. Witnesses report she has no face, just a white glowing light. San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles, Adelaide Cemetery. Look for Charlotte's grave, and every Friday night between 10 and 12 p.m. there is a woman ghost who comes to lay flowers on her dead daughter's grave. Charlotte, she has been seen as a bright white light, and witnesses have seen a white human-like figure near the gates to the cemetery.